Chapter 573. Who would have thought they would actually run into this big rooster? Gu Shan smiled and stood up to greet him. I'm here because of the bramble bird's summoning, so that's why. How regretful that I'm too old. Otherwise, I'd really like to get a few small things. Even if I sell them, I can still get a bit of money. Aha! After a bit of small talk, the big rooster suggested having dinner together. In his words, the village is so big. It took so much effort to find two living people. If they split up, it'll be very hard to find them again. Without waiting for Gu Shan to refuse, the big rooster clapped his hands and paid for Gu Shan's bill. The big rooster flapped his wings again and asked for a top-notch set meal for 4 people. Gu Shan and Su Cher exchanged glances. This is really too much to refuse. They don't have anything else to do, and they really haven't eaten yet, so it's fine to sit with them for a bit longer. The 4 of them sat down. May I know how to address this beautiful lady? The big rooster looked at Su Cher and politely asked. Nice to meet you. I'm Su Cher. The big rooster patted Gu Shan's shoulder. Fresh flowers and cow dung. A perfect combination. I give you my blessings, thank you, Su Cher smiled sweetly. Gu Shan looked at the log with a helpless expression. May I know who this is? He asked. This is an esteemed lady. She didn't allow me to say her name. The big rooster looked at the log and said with a troubled expression. It's fine, a low female voice came from the log. These 2 little ones have a bit of contact with our old friends. As the log split open, a lifelike wooden beauty appeared in front of them. She looked at Gu Shan and appeared interested. A newcomer of the Justice Fist Club? That's right, Gu Shan casually admitted. Did Bali's leg really recover? Yes. The curse he was afflicted with was extremely powerful. I had thought that he would come and beg me, but he was actually quite stubborn. Fool, could it be that life and death is more important than face? The wooden woman angrily said. Why didn't he beg you? Su Cher asked cautiously. Because he went against me in the casino. In the end, he even lost his pants to me. The wooden beauty lit up a cigarette and took a deep drag. It seemed like he was an old acquaintance of Bali. Gu Shan couldn't say anything for Bali. Bali? You're talking about Iron Fist Bali? Big Rooster exclaimed. Yes, Gu Shan replied. I owe him a small favor. The big rooster muttered in a low voice. The wooden woman turned to Su Cher and asked, How is your teacher? Su Cher was stunned. You know my teacher? She sat up a bit more. Of course, Lord of Blood. You carry the sin of the Blood Sea contract on you. I can recognize it as soon as I smell it. Su Cher tried asking. I wonder if you and my teacher... He's chasing after me, the wooden woman curtly answered. Su Cher wiped the sweat off her forehead. Relax, little girl. I won't become your teacher's wife. The wooden woman saw how nervous she was and told her. The big rooster had been holding his breath the entire time, only laughing as he heard that. That's right. That Lord of Blood guy is too weak. He doesn't look like a real man at all. At this point, exquisite utensils appeared on the long dining table. Various dishes were placed on the plates one by one. Let's dig in. I'm starving, the big rooster said. The wooden woman glanced through all the dishes and complained. Why isn't there any chicken? The big rooster paused, then awkwardly said, About that. Let's not eat chicken. You're not a chicken. You only look like one. Can you not get in the way of me eating chicken? The wooden woman asked. The big rooster thought for a bit, then suddenly slammed the table. That's right. I'm not a chicken. He ordered a chicken sandwich, a bowl of black chicken soup, and a braised chicken. It was now that the wooden woman's eyebrows loosened. You're not bad. Much stronger than Blood Cloak. She blew into the big rooster's ear. The big rooster squinted his eyes and flatly replied, Of course, my lady. The wooden woman nodded satisfyingly, elegantly picked up the bowl, and began to drink the black chicken soup. The big rooster's eyes turned around, looking at Gu Shan. Brat, other than this lady, if anyone else in the 900 million world layers dares to mention chicken dinner to me, I'll beat them up until even their own mothers won't recognize them. This is a matter of principle, he sent his voice solemnly. Gu Shan tried her best to keep her expression unchanged. Very well. A strong person should have their own principles, he replied with an extremely serious tone. The big rooster nodded satisfyingly. After such a sumptuous dinner was finished, it was already late at night. The two of them left the dining hall. As they said their goodbyes, the wooden woman didn't say anything and placed a leaf in between Sue Cher's eyebrows. The leaf gave off a jade-like glow and slowly sank into Sue Cher's eyebrows. Although I don't know how to prophesize, I can still tell that your future is a bit worrying, the wooden woman said. It's nothing really. Sue Cher forced a smile. Gu Qingshan silently listened on one side without saying anything. Hearing Sue Cher's words, the wooden woman shook her head. Little girl, don't be careless. This leaf is just a small bit of protection from me, Sue Cher politely replied. Thank you. How should I address you? The wooden woman waved her hand and didn't answer. She headed to the other side of the street. Very well, we'll see you tomorrow. The holiday is still long. The big rooster also said goodbye to the two of them. He quickly chased after them. Gu Qingshan and Sue Cher stood there for a while until the two of them disappeared around the corner. She said that your future is worrying. Gu Qingshan's expression was a bit worried as she told Sue Cher. It's fine. I have a very powerful Shifu. Did something happen? Shuer, you have to tell me. Seeing his unquestionable expression, Sue Cher smiled. All right, it's just a small matter. Let's find a place to stay first. I'll tell you later at night. Gu Qingshan nodded. How was your meal? Sue Cher asked caringly. I'm full. Let's go. We should also find a place to rest. Yeah. I'm sleepy. Let's go. There were a lot of inns in the town. After looking around for a while, Gu Qingshan and Sue Cher both decided on a quiet and secluded inn. Sue Cher took Gu Qingshan's ID and went to register. From this point on, Gu Qingshan felt that something was wrong with Sue Cher. She was visibly nervous. Strange, Gu Qingshan's doubts grew. But a few moments later, Sue Cher returned with a small, intricate key in her hand. She held the key and tapped it in the air. A door opened. Sue Cher held Gu Qingshan's hand and went in. Look, this is the dormitory I asked for, Sue Cher said. Gu Qingshan looked around the room. Sure enough, this was a normal female dormitory without missing a single detail. All right, then where do I sleep? Gu Qingshan asked. You sleep here, what about you? I'll sleep here as well, what? This time, it was Gu Qingshan's turn to be nervous. At the same time, he vaguely understood why Sue Cher was so nervous. If that's the case, it's normal for her to be nervous. While Gu Qingshan was thinking, a small, fragrant body embraced him. Sue Cher. She hugged him. The girl closed her eyes, looked up, and lightly kissed Gu Qingshan. Time seemed to have stopped. Gu Qingshan had thought of many scenarios, considered the various dangerous situations Sue Cher might face, and was prepared to listen to what Sue Cher had to say. But he didn't think Sue Cher would do this. This was a moment that had never happened before. All of Gu Qingshan's doubts and thoughts disappeared. Their lips parted. Sue Cher stroked Gu Qingshan's face and whispered, Go to sleep, Qingshan. Gu Qingshan slowly closed his eyes and fell backwards onto the bed. Sue Cher silently stared at him and lightly picked up a transparent piece of paper from her lips. As the transparent piece of paper left her lips, it slowly turned into a card in her hand. There was nothing else on the card except a pink lipstick mark. The witch's gift kiss. The person kissed by this card will fall into a wondrous dream that lasts for 3 days. Only those who have the same kissing skills as the witch would be able to escape the dream. Sue Cher put the card away and sat on the edge of the bed. She silently stroked Gu Qingshan's face. She didn't say anything and only stared at him longingly. At a certain point, Sue Cher's body began to ring, followed by a blinding light. The call of the bramblebirds. 1 hour in the outside world was equivalent to 1 day here. It was still time. Sue Cher sighed. Qingshan, you've eaten the skeleton, which means you've become demonized. She finally told him the truth. While I'm holding that card, what I'm facing is a void of nothingness. This is because I've finally managed to escape from my original fate. From now on, there's nothing that can bind me or order me around. Sue Cher put the witch card away and took out the Predictor of Fate card. She put the Predictor of Fate card into Gu Qingshan's pocket. Right now, I only need to do what I truly want to do. Because of that, I've already taken care of all the dangers that lie ahead of you. According to the card's prediction, as long as I take them on for you, you'll be able to safely pass this obstacle and become a peerless combatant. Saying so, Soucher warmly smiled. You only need to sleep here and wait for me to return. Saying so, Soucher took out a card and threw it in the air. The card instantly enveloped Gu Qingshan. Binding Oath. The target under this card's effect will only be able to move within a 5-meter radius, unable to leave. Soucher thought for a bit and took out another card. This card was different from the previous ones. It gave off a blood-like glow. The Lord of Blood was standing on top of the card, holding a shield in his hand. Bloodsea Deck, Demon Lord's Protection. Once this card is activated, it will create a protective barrier of runes at a specific location. No person or attack will be able to break through the barrier. Soucher activated this card. A blood-colored barrier manifested from the card and enveloped the entire room. 3 cards. The first one made Gu Qingshan fall into a deep sleep. The second one was to prevent him from waking up prematurely, forcefully trapping him in this room. The third one, although no one could be harmed within a bowl, Soucher still took out her strongest defensive card to protect this room. Now that all 3 cards were activated, Soucher could finally relax. Stroking Gu Qingshan's face, she muttered, "If I don't return," she kissed Gu Qingshan. This time, it was a true farewell kiss. "You have to live on." Saying so, she disappeared from the room. Only Gu Qingshan was left in the room. Gu Qingshan was lying on the bed, his eyes closed without moving. The fiendish bestowal kiss will make him fall into a deep sleep for 3 days. During this process, the call of the bramblebirds will end. In fact, when the time to enter comes, everyone will also be sent into their world. Only some will be able to challenge it first. If that's the case, Gu Qingshan won't be able to make it in time for the call of the bramblebirds. These 3 cards will ensure that he won't be able to do anything and won't be in any danger. Time slowly passed. The spatial fluctuations caused by Soucher's departure slowly subsided. The room became silent. All of a sudden, an autumn water clear blue sword appeared from the void of space, circled once in the air, then turned into a blue dress maid. Shanu. Looking at Gu Qingshan's sleeping appearance, she felt troubled. Gongzi is asleep. What should I do? Of course, as the spirit of the divine sword, she can break all laws. But Soucher was extremely smart. All of her spells were targeted at Gu Qingshan, and she only used them when Gu Qingshan was least prepared. Shanu could break all laws, and she wasn't affected by the cards. But since Gu Qingshan wasn't able to defend against them, she was already hit. And now, Gu Qingshan couldn't escape from these 3 cards. Shanu stood by the bed, feeling troubled, but also touched. She couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought such a girl really exists in this world? Suddenly, a male voice called out. What kind of girl? She's nothing but a silly little girl. Chapter 574. Gu Qingshan sat on his bed, glancing at the war god UI. Lines of glowing text were scrolling across his retina, recording everything that happened just now. As soon as the card touched him, it was captured by the war god UI. Right away, the war god skills tab was activated. You've come into contact with a card. This card had once performed a god's chosen skill, Witch's Bestowal Kiss. Witch's Bestowal Kiss. The person kissed will fall into a beautiful dream that lasts for 3 days. Only those who have the same kissing skill as the witch can escape the dream. To comprehend this skill, 10,000 soul points is required. Do you want to learn this skill? Special note: if you learn the witch's kiss, your kissing skill will automatically be upgraded to max level. In that split second, Gu Qingshan reacted. Without hesitation, he spent 10,000 soul points to comprehend the witch's kiss. Because of that, he was exempted from this god's chosen skill. Right now, Gu Qingshan was sitting on his bed, complaining to the war god UI. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Even the Tai sword array that I just learned only cost 2,000 soul points. Why does the kissing skill need 10,000 soul points? Ting, the system replied. An excellent kissing skill can help you subdue women who are 10,000 times stronger than you, but the Tai sword array can't do that. Gu Qingshan fell silent. That seems to be the case. But I don't need to subdue women who are 10,000 times stronger than me, do I? Gu Shan didn't get tricked and asked again. If you regret it, you can spend 100,000 soul points. The system will retract this skill and let you fall back into slumber. The war god UI replied. Gu Shan could only shrug. There's no way to continue this conversation. He looked at Shanu. Shanu's eyes were still red. Are you feeling moved by that silly girl? Gu Shan asked. She's not being silly. She's doing it for your own good. Shanu couldn't help but speak up for Su Cher. Gu Shan said angrily, since we've decided on each other, then no matter what happens, we should face it together. Besides, there's one thing she hasn't figured out all this time. What is it? Nothing can stop her, man. Gu Shan said and stood up. He strode out. Dong! There was a loud noise. He hit a transparent wall and squatted down, covering his head in pain. Her man was stopped, Shanu seriously told her. Gu Shan covered her head with one hand and tried to touch the transparent barrier with the other. What is this? He asked with a gasp. I forgot to tell you. When you concealed your presence and pretended to sleep, Su Cher added a few more barriers to protect you, Shanu told him. Gu Shan placed her hand on the transparent barrier. A few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Binding Oath. Target under this card's effect can only move within a range of 5 square meters. Unable to leave. This is a soul binding technique. The range of this technique is 500 million kilometers. As long as you are within 500 million kilometers, it will be able to detect your soul, and it will remain in effect. Description. Because you've already been hit by this card, it is impossible to escape afterwards. Special description. This is a technique card specially crafted by the Lord of Blood. You won't be able to completely cut through it with your current strength. Gu Shan read through the skill description and smiled. She's learned quite a few tricks, unfortunately. She doesn't know that I have a sword that can cut through all laws. Shanu understood. She flew back into Gu Shan's hand and turned back into the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword. A sword phantom flashed. The sword cut through the transparent barrier, like it was cutting through a pool of water. Wherever the sword passed, the barrier was cut open. But as soon as the sword left, the barrier returned to its original state. Gu Shan. Shanu. The 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword could indeed cut through the barrier, but only by allowing it to pass through. Gu Shan couldn't go through. Gu Shan let go of the 6 Paths Great Mountain Sword and drew the Earth Sword instead. Break! Gu Shan shouted and swung the Earth Sword at the barrier. The 86,370,000 tons Earth Sword slammed into the barrier and went straight through. This barrier didn't seem to be able to stop any attacks, but it still wouldn't let Gu Shan go through. Gu Shan tried using the Chao-Yin sword and many other warp formations, but the result was the same. He couldn't leave this place. Gu Shan roared in anger. Su Cher has already left. If I can't make it in time, I'll miss the call of the bramble birds. How can I let Su Cher bear everything for me? Gu Shan was a bit anxious. The 3 swords hovered in the air, silently watching as he walked back and forth inside the barrier. The Chao-Yin sword let out a confused woo-woo sound. He's troubled, Shanu explained. That's right, and he's very annoyed, the Earth Sword replied. He can only pretend to be asleep during his first kiss. He must be deeply regretful. The Chao-Yin sword shook a bit, almost as if it was smiling. Gu Shan sighed and explained to the 3 swords, It can't be helped, that girl is too stubborn. If I don't pretend to be asleep, she wouldn't tell me what's on her mind. But now that you know the truth, you're trapped by her, the Earth Sword said. It's only temporary, Gu Shan replied. He thought for a bit, then looked at the skill description on the War God UI. The binding vow has a range of 500 million kilometers? Gu Shan was surprised. If that's the case, if I can instantly travel 500 million kilometers, this technique might lose its effect. 500 million kilometers. Gu Shan fell into thought. After a while, he suddenly asked, System, when can I return to my original world? Ting. The system responded. You've completed the Destiny quest. Stay in the Justice Iron Fist Club. You can return to your original world at any time. Gu Shan was surprised. That's right. Every time I complete a Destiny quest, I can return to my original world. And this time, I stayed in the Justice Iron Fist Club, but to awaken the new function of the War God UI, I haven't returned yet. Gu Qingshan began to think. Returning to my original world is definitely 500 million kilometers away. That way, the binding vow will be unlocked. The only problem is how to quickly return. If I'm late, I won't be able to make it in time for the call of the bramble birds. I have to get to a bull as soon as possible. Gu Qingshan suddenly remembered. Every time I return to my original world for a period of time, I'll be able to travel to a new world. System, how long do I need to stay in my original world before I can return here? He asked. 1 day. I need 1 day. I won't be able to make it in time for the call of the bramble birds. Gu Qingshan unwillingly asked, is there a way to shorten the time? There are 2. The first one? The first one is to use up all the soul points you have. The second one? The second one, the closer you are to a bull, the shorter the warp time, because the system doesn't need to do a lot of preparation work before warping. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit. His original world is outside the 900 million world layers. That's too far. Too far. Wait a minute. I have the Justice Iron Fist Club's beacon on me, so I can directly warp back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. If the Justice Iron Fist Club is closer to a bull, I'll be able to shorten the time needed. And then, Meow can warp a person outside the 300 million world layers. The only drawback of her warp is that she can't pinpoint a person's location. And I'll just let her warp a bit. In short, warping towards a bull will shorten the distance even more. This will greatly shorten the time needed. The first method requires me to use up all the soul points I have. Gu Qingshan asked again. The system replied, yes, that is the rule. Gu Qingshan shook his head. Soul points is the strongest power he knows. The Tiamat called it divine power. He has a lot of use for the soul points. And Gu Qingshan has a feeling. If he doesn't prepare enough power to respond to the call of the bramble birds, then he'll face a hopeless situation. Fine, I'll choose the second method. You send me back, Gu Qingshan decided. He rubbed his palms together, preparing to return here as soon as possible. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Confirm order. Begin preparations to return. 3, 2, 1. Return. A screen of light enveloped Gu Qingshan. Chapter 575. The Original World. The Freedom Federation. The outskirts of the capital. The mountaintop mansion. A screen of light appeared. Gu Qingshan appeared. As soon as he landed, he began to chant Justice Iron Fist Club. Following his chant, a thin thread appeared in the void of space. This thread was the void string. One end of it was connected to him. The other end was connected to the faraway, superdimensional world, the Justice Iron Fist Club. Gu Qingshan pulled on this void string. The void string quickly reacted. It began to tighten at a very slow pace, because they were too far away. Even though the superdimensional beacon had been activated, the void string still needed some time to prepare. Sensing the void string's change, Gu Qingshan silently nodded. From this moment onwards, the beacon had already begun to warp. This was an irreversible, unstoppable process. Meow said that Gu Qingshan would be warped away in about half an hour. What can I do in half an hour? Gu Qingshan stretched his back. It seems there's nothing to do. The hollow brain in his chest pocket suddenly lit up. Sir, I'm so glad to see you. You've returned just in time. Impartial goddess voice came. HM? What's the matter? Gu Qingshan asked. We've run into a bit of trouble, Impartial goddess replied. A lot of information appeared on the hollow brain. Starting from the day the demonic invaded, every major event that happened on the planet appeared in front of Gu Qingshan. The demonic invasion. Gu Qingshan scowled. How many demonic are there right now? I don't have much time. Prepare a lot of warp devices. I'll deal with this. As Gu Qingshan asked, he grabbed the earth sword from the void of space. He was ready to deal with this problem once and for all. No, sir, this isn't as simple as it seems, Impartial goddess replied. More data appeared on the screen. From the current situation, several tens of thousands of wraiths and almost 100 demis were scattered all over the world. Listening to their conversation, the Azuras and Beast Kings were also hiding in the dark, eyeing them covetously. I see. This is troublesome. Gu Shan looked at the information and said with a headache. Super-dimensional teleportation was in progress. He only had half an hour. It was impossible for a single person to travel around the world and deal with all these threats in half an hour. The Azuras and Beast Kings were still in their own worlds and had not arrived yet. They are watching and waiting. To solve all the problems, Gu Shan had to spend a lot of time and energy. And there was no time at all. Gu Shan took a deep breath. He looked at the information carefully and tried to calm himself down. Just reading through the information and performing a simple analysis of the situation took almost 10 minutes. In 20 minutes, he would be teleported away. Gu Shan closed her eyes and rubbed her forehead. He quietly recalled all the information he had just read. Every wraith, every demi, everything they did, everything they said was displayed in Gu Shan's thought sea. Demis, every demi has a divine skill. Our cultivators are no match for them. How do we get out of this situation? Gu Shan muttered. This was also a headache for Zhang Yongho. Impartial Goddess asked, Sir, do you need me to notify everyone that you've returned? Don't, I need some time to think. Gu Shan stood up and paced back and forth in the room. With absolute calmness, he was rapidly thinking like never before. No matter what happens to this world, he has to save Su Cher first. However, if I can come up with a feasible solution to this world's problems in just half an hour, wouldn't that be a win-win situation for everyone? With that in mind, Gu Shan immediately said, Please show me the information on number 7, number 93, number 136, number 385, number 614. Need to go through them again. Understood, sir. Various videos and information quickly appeared on the holobrain. At this speed, normal people wouldn't be able to see anything at all. But Gu Shan stared at the holobrain without blinking. If anyone else were to see this, they would definitely find it hard to believe. Too slow. Increase the speed of data transfer, he ordered. Understood, sir. Impartial Goddess replied. Data was flashing and disappearing on the screen like a waterfall. This speed had already surpassed a human's recognition. While Gu Shan was seriously watching, occasionally nodding, as if confirming the situation. At some point, Gu Shan noticed something. He muttered, whether it's the Demis, the Wraiths, or even the Azura and Beast Kings, they all want to obtain this world, not destroy it. Impartial Goddess followed up. That's right, sir. Mr. Zhang Yongho also came to the same conclusion, he noticed. Gu Shan smiled. Then why didn't he get rid of them? Mr. Zhang Yongho had used a lot of stratagems to achieve very good results, but the Demis are too strong, so his stratagems weren't able to play a decisive role. The Demis are too strong. Gu Shan thought for a bit, then asked, What about Yifei Li? He's a man-killer fiend. Aren't you helping him grow stronger? Impartial Goddess replied. According to my calculations, his growth rate is indeed very fast, but according to the time frame, he won't be able to save this world in time. Why not? The strongest Demis are far stronger than any human can imagine. According to my calculations, this world will be taken over by the Demis in 2 days. Yifei Li won't even have time to grow up, so that's why Gu Shan nodded. 23 minutes had passed. Gu Shan could slowly sense the void string. This string was trying to pull Gu Shan, wanted to take him away from this world. There's no time. Gu Shan took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and thought for a bit. They don't want to destroy the world. They want this world, he began to mutter in a low voice. This seems to be a way for him to emphasize himself. He's asking himself to remember this crucial piece of information. Humans can't win against the Demis at all. Yifei Li needs more time to grow up. Gu Shan suddenly opened his eyes. He could feel it. The void string had gathered enough power to pull him back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. 1 second later, the void string will take him back to the Justice Iron Fist Club. In a split second, Gu Shan put his hand on the keyboard. There's no time to explain. He couldn't even finish a single sentence. 1 second, there's only all authority can be given to Yifei Li, Gu Shan loudly said. He typed a few words on the keyboard at lightning speed. Home. Chapter 576. Gu Shan left the original world. 10 seconds later. The World Allied Army's HQ. Impartial Goddess brought the words that Gu Qing-shan left behind here. Zhang Young-ho, Yifei Li, Liao Xing, the president of the Federation, Monarch Verona, and Marshal St. Zhang Zongyang were all gathered here. They stared at the screen and fell into thought. What was shown on the screen was completely out of their expectations. You could even say that it didn't match the current situation at all. Only to see a single line of text on the screen, frowny face the King of Fighters, the final boss. No one could believe that this was the countermeasure that Gu Qing-shan left for everyone. According to Impartial Goddess judgment, these words were left for Yifei Li, Zhang Young-ho said. Yifei Li stood in front of the screen without saying a word. He seemed to be deep in thought. Yifei Li, what exactly do these words mean? Zhang Zongyang couldn't help but ask. Yifei Li didn't say anything. Liao Xing explained. The King of Fighters is a very famous game. Haven't any of you played it before? Zhang Zongyang shook his head. He looked at the others. How would I know? I've never played these boring games before, Monarch Verona said. The last time I played such a thing was when I was still in university, the president also said. For a while, no one said anything as they tried to think. The room fell silent. While everyone remained silent, Yifei Li suddenly let out a long sigh. Everyone turned to look at him with an expectant expression. Do you understand what Gu Qing-shan meant? Zhang Young-ho asked. I have understood something else, and it is also a very important thing. Yifei Li solemnly told everyone. Something else? Everyone was surprised. The most important thing right now is to decipher these words. So why did this brat think of something else? What do you mean? Zhang Young-ho asked. I don't know if you feel this way, clearing her throat. Yifei Li solemnly said, Actually, sometimes I really feel that life is like a play. Everyone listened to his words and revealed a puzzled expression. What was this kid talking about? Life is like a play? Can you be more specific? Liao Xing asked with uncertainty. Of course, what I really want to say is that sometimes I feel like I'm living in a play. What does that mean? Maybe it's a movie, a TV series, or even a novel. In short, I feel that life is very illusory, and we are all actors in these movies. As the people listened, they exchanged glances with one another. Living in a play? This kid must be sick in the head. Liao Xing, on the other hand, appeared contemplative. It's because you can feel that. That's why when you play the murder clown, you look so good. Zhang Yinghao also looked at Yifei Li with an appreciative look in his eyes. This is probably one of your innate talents, as well as an innate sense of drama. Yifei Li's expression turned solemn as she spoke in a low voice. But from today onwards, I no longer feel like this is a movie, a TV series, or even a novel. Why not? Liao Xing couldn't help but ask. Yifei Li looked at him and smiled. Because there has never been a movie in which the savior would run away at the crucial moment when the world is about to be destroyed. Not being there at the scene, Yifei Li very seriously said, The savior must save the world. This is the iron rule of any story. Everyone froze. But Gu Qing-shan ran away. Liao Xing clenched his fist. That's right. So he's not the savior, and this isn't a movie about him, Yifei Li confirmed. That's right. I like your conclusion. Liao Xing excitedly clenched his fist and bumped it with Yifei Li's. Everyone else was speechless. These are two lunatics. They could only silently say that in their minds. All right, if you two really have the guts, then tell me what these words mean. Zhang Young-ho pointed at the screen. The screen was still showing the words that Gu Qing-shan left behind. The King of Fighters, the final boss, Zhang Young-ho, continued. Gu Qing-shan seems to be hinting to us that the secret to defeating the demons and gods lies with the final boss. The King of Fighters was a game that took the world by storm. The final boss was the most powerful enemy that the player had to face when they reached the final stage. Everyone exchanged glances. None of them understood why Gu Qing-shan would leave behind a message related to the game. Liao Xing crossed his arms. I've played this game before, but I'm terrible at it. Unable to defeat the final boss, I've already cleared it, and I know a secret method to adjust the game, Yifei Li said. You want to change the difficulty of the stage? Liao Xing asked. No, changing the difficulty would be pointless. I'll just call out the final boss and control him to clear the stage, Yi Fei Li answered. There's such a method? Quickly tell me what to do. Is the password up, up, down, 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 A, B, A, B? Liao Xing's eyes lit up. It's not. Yi Fei Li shook her head. It's useless even if I tell you. Only the platinum contestants of the King of Fighters 20th anniversary tournament have the right to apply for a character swap. You're a platinum contestant? Liao Xing couldn't believe it. Only by completing all the achievements in the game can you qualify to become platinum. Yi Fei Li had a prideful expression on his face. Not just platinum. Before the apocalypse, I was ranked 7th in the world, but now I'm the world's #1. He puffed out his chest and looked at everyone, ready to receive their looks of worship. Unfortunately, most of the people here didn't think this was something worth bragging about. Zhang Youngho asked, Does Gu Qingshan know about this? Of course, he's also an expert. No, he said that he didn't even have enough money to buy the normal version of the game back then. So he's always been envious of me. Zhang Youngho and Liao Xing exchanged glances. Liao Xing, then quickly call out all the skills of this character. Let's all take a look at them, no need. Yi Fei Li answered. He looked at the words on the screen and murmured. These words were indeed left for me. Standing there, he couldn't help but tremble. I know what he meant. Yes, I know very well, he murmured softly. You know what he meant? Everyone asked at the same time. Yi Fei Li licked his lips and excitedly answered. That's right. I'm the clown. I beat the game of Eternal. I'm the final boss. Yi Fei Li gestured to the screen. Impartial Goddess spoke. Mr. Yi Fei Li, the mech is ready. Are you sure you want to go? I can't wait anymore. Understood. Impartial Goddess replied. Following a series of mechanical noises, a cold set of armor rose up from the ground. This was a mobile mech that was about 2 meters tall. Its entire body was pitch black and emitted a cold light. It looked slender and slender. The strangest thing about this mech was its helmet. Because of this helmet, the mech was giving off a strange and indescribable feeling. Its eyes were empty. Its expression was stiff. Its nose looked like a long bird's beak, and its mouth was curling into a stiff smile. At first glance, it looks like it's trying to please someone, but if you look closely, you'll see that it's not smiling at all. It's more like a human who saw something terrifying and was about to fall into hysteria. Yi Fei Li walked forward and put her hand on the mech. The mobile mech began to emit streaks of blue lightning. Individual brain waves confirmed. Begin equipping. The mech attached itself to Yi Fei Li's body, slowly assembling itself. Yi Fei Li disappeared from the world. The murder clown appeared in front of everyone. I've been gone for so long, but I've finally returned to the theme park. Chapter 577. The World Allied Armies HQ. The murder clown had finished its preparations and was ready to go. What do you plan to do? How do you need our help? Zhang Youngho asked. The murder clown put a finger on its lips. Shoo! It anxiously waved its other hand, signaling everyone to stay silent. So everyone stopped talking and just stared at it. The murder clown listened for a while. No one said anything. Everything became silent. The murder clown was satisfied. Listen, it whispered. Everyone listened attentively and then looked at each other. There was no sound in the silence. What do we need to listen to? Zhang Youngho opened his palm, gesturing to the murder clown to ask. The murder clown lowered its voice. It's always this calm before the storm. Amidst the silence, the clown uttered these words as if he was chanting a spell. At this moment, it felt like it was the messenger of the storm. Storm? What should we do next? Liao Xing asked. Everyone also looked at the clown. Humans can't win against demis. What's Gu Qingshan's strategy? Tell us. The murder clown took a deep breath, then suddenly screamed. Look forward to it, friends. Just watch because, a new game is about to begin. Boom! The clown broke through the roof and flew to the sky. In the blink of an eye, it was gone. Crazy clown, Marshal St. Zhong, Zhong Yang muttered. We're letting him go just like that? With his current strength, there's no way he can win against a demi, Zhang Youngho said. Impartial Goddess answered. Her Excellency Gu Qingshan has granted Mr. Yi Fei Li full battle authorization. All right, let's hope Gu Qingshan is right. Jang Young-ho sighed. Impartial goddess, please turn on the global surveillance. Let us see what he's going to do, the president said. Understood. Please watch, impartial goddess answered. A large screen appeared in front of everyone. The murder clown was moving at high speed on the screen. It was heading towards the city where the wraiths gathered. With its strength, this was undoubtedly walking into a trap. Impartial goddess, does Yi Fei want to die? Jang Young-ho asked in a low voice. Impartial goddess replied, I'm not sure, but Sir Gu Qingshan has already authorized him to do whatever he wants, so I will not stop him. It doesn't seem right. If he wants to do something dangerous, are you not going to stop him? Monarch Verona couldn't help but ask. I won't stop you. Even if he wants to destroy the world, you won't care? Liao Xing asked. I will follow Her Excellency Gu Qingshan's orders and help Mr. Yi Fei destroy the world. Impartial goddess calmly replied. An hour later, all over the world, all the wraiths and demis stopped their actions. This was because all the screens around them that could project images had all been switched on. They already knew that there were things in this world that could display images. But at this moment, all the devices in the world were projecting at the same time, and this was the first time they had seen such a spectacular scene. The scene was beyond their comprehension. Only to see a strange person appear on the screen. Rather than a person, it was more like a metal monster. The murder clown. Many people exclaimed in shock. These were all normal humans, but they had already joined the demis and became their dogs. There were also a few humans who had recently turned into wraiths. These wraiths quickly explained the murder clown's background to the other wraiths. In truth, no one knew the murder clown's background, but the things it did in the past had brought fear to humanity for a very long time. As the explanation went on, the wraiths and demis slowly learned about the murder clown's glorious past. What kind of existence is it exactly? A demi asked in confusion. Don't be hasty. Let's see what it wants to do, another demi said. At this moment, all the demis, wraiths, and even humans were staring at the screen. The murder clown seemed to have noticed this situation. It raised its hand and began to count the seconds. 3, 2, 1, begin. A rock-style electronic music began to play on the screen. Along with the electronic music, various images appeared on the screen. These images were all of the demis fighting heroically, but after a while, it changed to the wraiths fighting. Watching the battle on the screen, the wraiths and demis couldn't understand. What's going on? I don't know. Look, that's me. Don't I look cool when I fight? That's nothing. Look, that's me. I killed 5 mechs, the wraiths and demis discussed in a low voice. After the beautiful battle scenes were over, the music also faded away. The murder clown cleared its throat and began to speak. Then, the game has officially begun. Please form groups of 7 and sign up for this year's King of Fighters tournament. The final winner shall win this world. Silence reigned. The wraiths and demis were stunned. King of Fighters tournament? What's that? I'm not sure. Could it be some sort of ritual of this world? Sounds like it's related to fighting, they whispered to each other. The human traders and newly transformed wraiths then told them everything related to the King of Fighters. After a while, the wraiths and demis finally understood. So it's a game. The heavenly god remained silent. It was now that he sighed. There's really something wrong with this guy's head. Who has the time to play games with him? On the other side, the Frostflame Wraith King told the wraiths, what a laughable guy. We don't need to pay attention to him. The Frostflame Wraith King led the wraiths and was about to attack a new city. At this point, the murder clown spoke again. Maybe you think I'm crazy, or maybe you're just lazy and don't want to participate in this tournament. But I have to say, that won't do. The murder clown raised both of its hands and lightly clapped. Following its clap, the wraiths and demis all over the world stopped. They sensed something strange at the same time. The earth shook. The air currents in the sky changed very slightly. Something radioactive appeared, something that was extremely unfriendly to the world. This feeling caused the heavenly god's heart to sink. Come, let's go see what's going on, the heavenly god ordered. Yes, sir. The heavenly god brought a few dozen demis with him, flying like lightning towards the source of the tremor. Their speed was so fast that they quickly arrived at the scene of the commotion. When the demis arrived, The wraiths also arrived. The one leading them was the Frost Flame Wraith King. The wraiths and demis exchanged glances and looked at the scene of the commotion, only to see that in the middle of the desert, hot air was boiling. The presence of destruction was rampaging everywhere. The sky was filled with fine sand. "Can you feel it?" the heavenly god asked in a low voice. Chapter 578. This clown is a madman I've never seen before, the heavenly god spoke in a low voice. The Frost Flame Wraith King didn't say anything and simply stared at the desert. In the desert, the intense heat flow didn't go away for a long time, making everything look twisted and unstable. The shockwaves spread in all directions and disappeared, but the intense heat made this place look like hell on earth. The powerful heavenly god and wraiths weren't afraid of this power, but they were observing how it affected the world. Suddenly, dozens of flying machines appeared in the sky. The flying machines flew in front of them and projected their images again. The murder clown appeared in the projection. Following the intense electronic music, it took a pose as if it was strumming a guitar. Clang, clang, clang. 7 people per group. Sign up for the competition. The final winner will fight with me. Whoever defeats me will obtain this world. Otherwise, I will. The murder clown clapped its hands again. A vast and intense power manifested again. Heaven and earth trembled. "Damn it, it's using that ability again," the heavenly god spoke with a grim expression. The Frost Flame Wraith King didn't say anything and quickly flew towards the source of the power. The heavenly god waved his hand and led the demis to follow. A city, an abandoned city. This place had already been ransacked by the wraiths and demis. There were no longer any living beings. Only empty metal buildings remained. When the wraiths and demis arrived, everything was already over. But they saw everything from the hollow brain. A giant mushroom cloud rose to the sky. The entire city was flattened in just a few breaths' worth of time. The heavenly god stood at the edge of the city, carefully sensing it. A few moments later, he spoke. "This power is useless against us, but it can greatly damage this world. In other words, this murder clown is an existence that specializes in destroying worlds." The Frostflame Wraith King thought for a bit. "I've asked my subordinates. They said it's a madman. It's done a lot of strange things, killed a lot of people, and doesn't have any goals. It wants us to join some kind of fighting tournament," the Frostflame Wraith King said. All of a sudden, the murder clown appeared on the screen again. "Correct." Student Wraith King listened very carefully and was praised. "Unfortunately, you don't accept cash. Otherwise, I would have given you 300 Imperial coins as a monetary reward." The heavenly god looked at the clown on the screen and asked in a low voice, "What exactly do you want?" He turned his head and looked behind him. A demi who had been preparing for a long time finally smiled and said, "I'm ready." The next moment, this demi suddenly disappeared. He has a movement skill that allows him to capture targets, so he'll be able to reach the murder clown in no time. Unfortunately, Impartial Goddess is watching the entire planet closely. The moment the descendant of God disappeared, the murder clown had finished warping. Everyone only saw the demi appear on the screen, but the murder clown was nowhere to be found. After a long-distance warp, the murder clown appeared in another city. The scene changed again, back to the murder clown. He whistled and clapped. "In order to fight against a big bad guy like me, your actions are truly heroic. To show my respect to you, I will once again make the world suffer." Bang! There was a violent explosion. Another nuclear explosion occurred at the place where the demons and gods gathered. The hemispherical flame engulfed the ground. Smoke and dust mixed together and rose rapidly into the sky. A large amount of sand and stones flew out along with the shockwave, crashing into various buildings and the ground, forming deep craters. After a while, everything calmed down. The wraiths and demi finally reappeared. Most of them looked a bit haggard, but they weren't heavily wounded. Only the weakest wraiths were killed. For most wraiths and demi, this level of attack power was only average. But the heavenly god and Frostflame Wraith King both had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. "Did you notice?" the Frostflame Wraith King asked. "Yes, The void of space is producing stray radiation. Under this radiation, normal life forms will die within a few hours to a few weeks, the heavenly god replied. Not only that, if that clown continues to unleash this kind of attack, the entire world will be contaminated and destroyed. Following his explanation, a large projection appeared in the sky. The murder clown appeared. Student Wraith King, you're such a smart one. While clapping, the clown spoke righteously. But I won't continue to unleash nuclear attacks. You'll have to trust me on that. The murder clown looked left and right, then put its hand in front of its mouth and whispered, "Let me tell you a secret. I'm more inclined to unleash this kind of attack several 10,000 times at once to completely destroy this world." "No. You madman, what exactly are you thinking?" The Frost Flame Wraith King angrily shouted. The heavenly god also looked at the screen. "You evil bastard, if you dare to continue destroying this world, I swear I'll tear you apart." If the human realm was completely destroyed, then all of their hard work would have been for nothing. A world full of harmful and useless energy wasn't worth fusing with. Furthermore, after fusing with it, it would cause irreversible damage to the Heaven Realm or Wraith Realm's environment. On the screen, the clown took out 2 cotton balls from its ears and threw them behind itself. It shrugged. "I didn't hear anything. Bullshit." The Frost Flame Wraith King angrily shouted. The icy flames around its body abruptly expanded. Impartial Goddess noticed this change in just 0.01 seconds. She immediately made the decision. In a split second, the murder clown disappeared. 3 seconds later, the Frost Flame Wraith King appeared where the clown originally was. Boundless, icy flames gathered around its body. It relied on frost fire to perform an extraordinary explosive charge. Unfortunately, even after charging for so long, it still missed. The murder clown disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. The Wraith King was the strongest wraith. With its strength, only the heavenly god would be able to fight it. But even the Wraith King couldn't catch the clown. There was only a hovering aircraft that projected itself. Seeing this, the heavenly god's heart felt heavy. The clown can destroy the world at any time, but no one can catch him. How do I get out of this? The murder clown appeared on the screen, clapping at the Frost Flame Wraith King. "What a brave challenger. To pay my respects to you, I've decided to flatten your half-built Wraith City N.O." The Frost Flame Wraith King roared. The murder clown didn't seem to hear it at all, performed an elegant ballet on the screen, then suddenly turned around to face the screen and clapped its hands. "My apologies, Wraith King. There's no turning back now." Boom. The ground began to tremble again. Intense shock waves filled the air. The screen turned into a snowflake. Loud noises could be heard. This explosion was much more intense than the previous 2. From slight changes in the airflow, any combatant could easily tell where the explosion came from. The Wraith City, the Wraith King's territory that was only half built. A few moments later, another scene appeared on the screen. The half-built Wraith City had completely disappeared from the horizon. The ground was a mess. The Wraith King stared at the screen, frozen in place. The Wraith City was the base that had spent a lot of effort to build. It only just finished laying the foundation and taking its shape. But it was gone just like that. The Wraith King clenched its fist. "Don't be too excited, otherwise you'll fall for his tricks." The heavenly god's voice came from the side. He stood next to the Wraith King with a serious expression. In just one day, it continuously unleashed large-scale attacks. Not to mention the fact that these large-scale attacks have the ability to damage the world. Is this the clown's ability? The heavenly god calmly asked. "Murder clown, what exactly are you trying to do?" That's a good question." The murder clown threw the ice cream in its hand away, took out a handkerchief, and wiped the outer shell of its metal mask. "I want to play a game." Following the clown's voice, the electronic music on the screen began to become more and more intense. First round time, second round time, final round time, 18 tournament scenarios, 21 tournament rules, tournament apparel rules, as well as an electronic invitation letter. All of these things appeared on the screen one by one. "Only by defeating me can you obtain this world. And I'm the final boss of this game. If you want to fight me, you must become the King of Fighters champion. Otherwise, I'll destroy this world. Ah, that's so fun. The clown laughed maniacally and disappeared. The entire world fell into a long silence. The heavenly god stared at the final rule. Only by defeating all competitors can you obtain this world. He clenched his fist tightly, muttering, "This world, the humans of this world don't have the power to defeat demis. The only thing he has to worry about are the wraiths, asuras, and beast kings. They also want to obtain this world." The heavenly god's thoughts slowly became clear. "Very well, I'll use this chance to eliminate all threats. After that, I'll defeat the murder clown and obtain this world." But he didn't say that out loud, because the Frost Flame Wraith King was standing right next to him. "Seems like there's no other way to obtain this world. I'll have to follow the clown's rules for now." The Frost Flame Wraith King sighed. "That's fine too, since I've already seen through the human world. If I can use this chance to take the world for myself, it'll be worth it." The Frost Flame Wraith King silently muttered to himself. He brought the wraiths and left without looking back. The heavenly god didn't pay any attention to the wraiths' movements. He was already thinking hard, thinking about how the demis should fight and coordinate with each other. The tournament rules state that 7 people to a group. 2 groups will fight each other. The winner qualifies to advance to the next round. A reasonable battle coordination will yield twice the result with half the effort in the tournament. The heavenly god had to worry about how each demi should be able to make the most of their potential. From this moment onwards, both the demis and the wraiths had entered a state of preparation for the King of Fighters tournament. The news spread like wildfire. The Asura and Beast Kings that had been hiding in the shadows couldn't wait any longer. They began to form their own teams. From a certain perspective, the Murder Clown's fighting game was in line with everyone's wishes. The strongest team gets everything. Using strength to determine who the world belongs to, this was the law of the jungle that was accepted by every world. At the same time, this also prevented a large-scale war. So even if they lost, their entire race wouldn't be wiped out. And regretting after the fact wasn't an option. Once the clown was angered, it would only need to unleash that kind of attack to destroy this world. Aside from that, the combatants of the tournament would definitely not allow the other side to leave the stage alive. Everyone was on guard against any enemies that tried to retaliate. This was going to be a tough battle. Chapter 579. On the other side, World Allied Army HQ, the Murder Clown armor had been dismantled. Yi Fei once again appeared in front of everyone. As soon as the armor left his body, the eerie and frenzied atmosphere also disappeared. This was a miraculous thing. "How did I do just now?" Yi Fei asked. Besides Liao Xing, everyone gave him a thumbs up. Yi Fei looked at Liao Xing. Liao Xing was a bit confused. "Why is it that every time you act as the Murder Clown, I always feel like we're the villains?" Yi Fei smirked, took a glass of liquor from Zhang Young-ho, and took a sip. "What do we do now?" Zhang Zongyang couldn't help but ask. "Kill the wraith." Yi Fei casually threw the glass away and said, "Impartial Goddess has set up a very long competition schedule, so I'll have enough time to become stronger. When the finals come, I'll appear as the final boss and eliminate the champion team. I know how much time I need to become stronger than them." Yi Fei's voice became cold. "The damage this world has suffered, I want them to pay with their lives. Are you confident?" The president asked. Impartial Goddess' voice came. "Do not worry, everyone. I will help him capture the wraith that are too scattered to help him grow faster." She then told Yi Fei, extremely far away in the southeast direction, 2 low-level wraith that haven't been summoned by the Wraith King have been discovered. Please quickly go and kill them. Roger. Yi Fei waved his hand. The forgetting river soul, separating hook, appeared from the void of space and attached itself to his left arm. "I heard that those who are cut by you will temporarily forget everything." Yi Fei looked at the forgetting river soul, separating hook, and said, "That's right. As long as you can let me touch their bodies, I can make them fall into a trance." The forgetting river soul, separating hook, replied. "How interesting. What would it be like if the wraith lost their memories?" "You could try. Then let's go." Boom. Yi Fei took the forgetting river soul, separating hook to the sky, and flew away. Everyone stared at his back until he was out of sight and no one spoke. Finally, Jang Young-ho took a deep breath. How could Gu Qing-shan come up with such a plan? What is he doing? That's right, this is truly crazy. Liao Xing also sighed emotionally. I'm guessing that he must have something more important to do, otherwise he wouldn't have abandoned this world, in the deep space where they could not see. Yi Fei stepped into a circular metal ring. The fused planet was extremely large, 10 times larger than the original world. The distance between many cities had also increased by several times. That's why such a long distance requires a large warp device to reach. Fortunately, under Liao Xing's constant improvements, the warp technology had made great progress. Yi Fei was standing in the middle of the metal ring. The metal ring immediately let out a sharp whistling sound. The next moment, Yi Fei disappeared. He appeared on a wide road. Yi Fei looked around. At the end of the road, 2 wraiths were fighting against a mech. Yi Fei wielded his hook and walked forward step by step. The 2 wraiths noticed him. The wraith repelled one of the mechs and asked with a strange tone, "Who are you?" These wraiths were converted from humans, so they remembered their past and knew how to speak human language. Because they had only just been converted, they were still weak, so the Devil King decided to let them participate in the tournament. Yi Fei looked at the wraith and whistled. If I wanted to act cool, I would say that I'm here to kill you, but this is a real world, and no one knows that I'm here to kill you, so I'm here to kill you. The 2 wraiths were confused. They were still humans in the past, so they still had a bit of human logic in their thinking. One of the wraiths asked, "Is there a difference between those 2 statements?" "Of course there is," Yi Fei very seriously replied. "Come to kill means that it hasn't been done yet. Kill means that it's done." At some point, he was standing on the shoulder of one of the wraiths. He took out a snow-white handkerchief to wipe the blood off the hook. The 2 wraiths stood still. Suddenly, a line of blood appeared on their necks as their heads rolled down. The 2 headless corpses fell to the ground. Yi Fei jumped down, wielding the snow-white hook a few times. He appeared pleased. "You don't really need to wipe me that clean," the forgetting river's soul separating hook said. "I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a clean freak, especially when I'm killing people." Yi Fei threw the handkerchief away and apologized. "Fine, do as you like," the forgetting river's soul separating hook expressed that it didn't mind. Yi Fei rested the hook on his shoulder and silently waited. A few moments later, impartial goddess voice came. "Please return to space and prepare for long-distance warp. This time's target is a relatively powerful wraith." Hearing that, Yi Fei couldn't help but crack his neck a bit and slightly move his shoulders. "What's the matter?" the hook asked. "It's nothing. After playing games for so long, it's hard to avoid a bit of shoulder strain from sitting for too long. I guess I need to kill a lot more to clear up my meridians," Yi Fei lightly sang. "La la la, la la la, a joyous leveling journey, forgetting all my worries, satisfying my body's desires. I love it all." He flew to the sky, heading toward space. On the other side, when impartial goddess relayed Gu Qing-shan's words to everyone, Gu Qing-shan had already arrived at the superdimensional world. The Justice Iron Fist Club. Miao was sitting on a chair, smoothing out the notebook in her hand, trying to write down a few sentences. "Not good. It's easy to get your royalties deducted if I write dirty stuff right now. I need to change the plot," Miao muttered. She was trying to come up with a plot. Suddenly, she stopped her pen and looked up at the sky. A black shadow descended from above, smashing a deep hole in the ground next to Miao. Why did you come back?" Miao asked in surprise. As Gu Qing-shan climbed out from the hole, she immediately said, "Hurry, I don't have time to explain. Just send me towards a bull. I'm in a hurry, a bull." "So that's where the bramble bird summoning is. Unfortunately, I can't warp there," Miao said. "It's fine, as long as the location is about right. I have a way to get there myself." Then, "Wait a minute," Bali came out from the club. "Your void string has already been used. It needs to be recharged," he scowled, staring at Gu Qing-shan. "Why do you have the aftermath of a card law on you? Did you run into trouble?" Bali reached his hand out, lightly grabbing the void of space next to Gu Qing-shan's shoulder. A blood-red glow appeared in his hand. "That's right. This feeling is the Blood Sea deck? It's him, the Lord of Blood." Bali narrowed his eyes. Miao scoffed and said, That guy actually dared to touch one of our people. Bali clenched his fist. Seems like I'll have to fight him. Wait a minute. It's not what you think. Gu Shan hurriedly stopped Bali. He had no choice but to briefly explain what happened. Ah, then that friend of yours is Bloodcloak's disciple? Bali asked. Gu Shan replied. All right, Meow, recharge the void string and send him there. Got it then, Shan. It'll take about 10 minutes to recharge. You haven't eaten yet? Bali and Meow exchanged glances and awkwardly smiled. Gu Shan face-bombed. Bali still hasn't fully recovered, so for the sake of caution, he hasn't left the club yet. If the two of them were to stay here, there wouldn't be anything for them to eat. 10 minutes, that's enough. I'll make a spicy hot pot for you. As soon as he said that, Gu Shan saw both Barry and Kitty's Adam's apple moved a bit. How long has it been since they last ate? Don't tell me they ran out of food after I left. That's completely possible. Then let's do that, Gu Shan said. He took out the ingredients, seasonings, pots, and pans, and began to make the hot pot. 10 minutes later, the void string was fully recharged. The spicy hot pot was served. Gu Shan then took out a portion of the best ingredients and placed them on the table. These ingredients are quite good. If you prepare them, they should be enough for a few days. Yes, Bali and Meow both nodded. All right, send me away. I'm in a hurry. I'll do it. Meow put her hand on Gu Shan's back. A bull. It should be this direction. She looked up at the sky, confirming the general location of the warp. All right, I'm going to warp. Wait a minute. Your position isn't right. Bali stopped her. He took out a piece of meat from the pot and ate. I remember a bull should be this direction. He pointed at the void of space with his chopsticks. That's not right, bro. You're wrong. It's clearly this direction. Sis, I don't agree with that. I used to go to a bull a lot. I know the correct direction better than you do. Is that so? I still had a bit of money back then. Every time you went to a bull, you would get drunk. I had to carry you back every time. So I'm definitely heading in the right direction. But every time I go there, I'm always sober. I remember it's clearly this direction. No, you're completely confused. The direction you're heading in is the space monster nest. We've been catching monsters there recently. The brother and sister began to argue. Gu Shan looked at where Meow was pointing, then at where Bali was pointing. Cold sweat dripped down her back. They were pointing in two completely opposite directions. If the warp was wrong, the call of the Bramblebirds would have nothing to do with Gu Shan. Chapter 580. The Justice Iron Fist Club. A cold breeze blew past. The brother and sister were pointing in two different directions, unable to convince the other. Bro, trust me, the direction I'm pointing to Gu Shan is the correct direction, Meow very seriously told him. No, sister, you have to listen to me this time. Bali stared straight into Meow's eyes. Why? Give me a reason. Meow was clearly a bit unconvinced. Bali shook his head, answering, because I'm the owner of the club. I've always been the one to make the decisions, but you can't decide a person's direction, Meow replied. The two of them continued to stare at each other without saying anything. Gu Shan, Bali suddenly turned to look at him. What kind of friend is the disciple of the Lord of Blood to you? Gu Shan was a bit surprised. He looked at the brother and sister. Bali was staring at him. Meow was also staring at him. Both of them had expectant expressions, as if waiting for an answer. Girlfriend, Gu Shan answered. Bali looked at Meow and said nothing. Meow sighed and lowered her head. Then there's no other way. She lightly tapped Gu Shan's shoulder. Sha! In a split second, Gu Shan flew up to the sky. He was sent flying by Meow, but the direction he was flying towards was the direction Bali pointed out. How exactly did you decide on the right direction? From afar, Gu Shan's voice came from above. Bali and Meow didn't answer. They stood still and waited for a bit longer. He's gone far, Bali muttered. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. Since he's my girlfriend, we can only let him go to a brush, Meow said listlessly. Bali said, Now can you tell me why you plan to eject him toward Port Angel and Soup Town? Meow pursed her lips and did not speak for a moment. What? Is there anything you can't tell me? Bali smiled and said gently, Brother, I was going to send him to one of the two absolutely safe places and apologize to him later. I just need to say that I made a mistake and we'll be able to get away with it. I didn't expect his girlfriend to be in a bowl too. Meow lowered her head, closed her eyes, and remained silent for a while. Brother, do you still remember the alarm from 1,800 years ago? She suddenly blurted out such a nonsensical statement. The high tower alarm. The smile on Bali's face gradually disappeared. His eyes were cold. His entire demeanor was cold and stern like never before. Bali explained, that was the first time the demons appeared in the 900 million outer world layers. After that, the prosperous zones were completely taken over by the demons. The combatants of every world tried their best to defeat them. 100 years later, the 900 million outer world layers had no choice but to change the name of the prosperous zones to the fallen zones. After that, the day the Spirekeeper Association issued the alarm was confirmed by the 900 million outer world layers as the day the demons officially appeared. Bali gently stroked his sister's head and said, but aside from me, no one else knew that you already noticed the overlapping space 3 days before them. You even saw quite a few true demons through the cracks in space. That's right. At the time, I noticed that the prosperous zones overlapped with another strange space, but I didn't know that something like demons would appear, Meow muttered. She stared at the faraway void of space, as if there was something there. 1,800 years ago, the outer world had 4 main zones: the prosperous zones, the superdimensional zones, the strife zones, and the mystic zones. When the different space descended, the demons also descended and took over the prosperous zones. The prosperous zones also changed their name to the fallen zones. And now, the 200 million world layers of the fallen zones have become the demons' playground. That was a long time ago. What does it have to do with Gu Qingshan's whereabouts? Bali asked. Meow answered, because he came from so far away to bring you the pixie crystal flower to help your leg heal, and because he's a decent person, I don't want him to go to a bull. You mean it's been 1,800 years? Just now, I sensed that strange fluctuation again. Bali looked at his sister and asked after a while, are you sure? This was a huge matter that could affect the entire 900 million world layers, so he couldn't afford to make any mistakes in his judgment. I'm very sure. That strange fluctuation has appeared again. I've sensed it a few times just now. It's the same fluctuation as before, and it appeared in a bull. It appeared in a bull. Bali sighed, finally accepting this fact. He muttered in a low voice, if that's true, then a full-scale war between the 900 million world layers and the demons is imminent, Meow continued. It's only just the beginning. That space is currently approaching the 900 million world layers, but it's hidden very well. Only I can sense it. That's why you don't want Gu Qingshan to go? He's one of us. I have to consider his life first. But his girlfriend is about to enter. You can't stop him. You can only help him get there as soon as possible. That's right. No one can stop him. And no one should stop him, Meow sighed, looked at her brother, and appeared glad. It's a good thing that the calamity won't arrive for a few more days. At that time, your leg will be completely healed. How regretful that we didn't tell Gu Qingshan the truth, Bali complained. No, I told him I left a letter in his inventory bag. As soon as he opens it, he'll see it. Then we need to quickly notify the entire 900 million world layers. No, Bali was surprised and asked, why not? Meow hesitantly spoke. Bro, I have a feeling, after thinking about it for so many years, I feel like when you were surrounded by the true demon army, it was all a trap. Meow, clench your fist. Why was I kept in the dark at the time? Why did you go to that place and run into an army of 600 million demons by yourself? None of this could have been a coincidence. You mean? That's right. Some of us have already joined them. Bali went silent, his expression cold and solemn. Meow continued. Bro, look, the call of the bramble birds started in a bull, but we couldn't get any information at all. I don't believe that our old friends wouldn't tell us anything at all. Communication was cut off. Bali muttered. That's right. Gu Qingshan's strength is too low, so those hiding in the shadows don't care about him. But you and I would definitely be closely monitored. If it weren't for the fact that we've kept this superdimensional world under wraps and my ability perfectly fused with the superdimensional beacon, no enemy would be able to do anything about it. If it weren't for that, you and I would already be nothing but a pile of bones. Bali silently nodded. If that's the case, before my leg fully recovers, we won't be able to get any information out. That's right. Even if we tell them, no one would believe us because the other side would definitely have the appropriate measures. And because no one knows my true strength, no one would believe me, Meow muttered in a low voice. Bali sighed deeply and muttered, Gu Qing Shan. His gaze was filled with unprecedented hesitation. Meow became anxious. She hugged Bali's arm and spoke softly. Bro, listen to me. You have to wait until your leg heals before you go out. Otherwise, not only will you not be able to save him, you'll also be killed by the enemy. But my leg needs at least 2 more days to fully recover. Bali gritted his teeth. You can't rush things. In 2 days, I'll come with you to pick up Gu Qing Shan. You're coming as well? Of course, I won't let you fight alone again, Meow answered. Bali silently nodded. My strength can only be fully exerted after my leg heals. If I go now, I won't be able to help at all. I might even lose my life. Right now, I can only pray that Gu Qing Shan can make it through the next 2 days. Chapter 581. Gu Qing Shan crossed his arms, allowing himself to travel through the boundless void of space. He sighed deeply, feeling a bit troubled and uncertain. How did I end up going in 2 different directions? What was the basis for me to fly in this direction in the end? Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but feel anxious. Bali and Meow. These 2 siblings seem to be hiding something from me. But no matter what, I can't change the direction I'm flying in. As time passed, Gu Qing Shan noticed that his speed was gradually increasing. But this increase in speed wasn't purely speed. At certain moments, he could even see the bright starry sky. Within the nebula, quite a few stars were undergoing changes. Stars were fading, supernovas were being born, all of them were giving off beautiful and illusory light. The starlight in space was reflecting the silhouettes of many space beasts from the darkness, forming colorful silhouettes in the distance. The translucent silhouettes of space beasts overlapped one another, mixing with the light, just like how the starry sky was also overlapping. As time passed, the overlapping scenes became more and more numerous. Gu Qing Shan could even see quite a few space beasts at the same point of view, their transparent bodies overlapping one another. There were even some strange creatures from the space vortex that occasionally appeared. Space, overlapping. Gu Qing Shan muttered to himself. If that's the case, I'm basically traveling through multiple world layers at the same time. This isn't normal. Meow sure is impressive. The only thing that worried Gu Qing Shan was that he didn't know where he was going or if he would be able to get close to a bull. At some point, the war god UI suddenly changed. Gu Qing Shan hurriedly looked over. Lines of glowing text quickly appeared on the UI. Calculating spatial warp trajectory. The curved traversal route has been verified. The position closest to a bull will appear in 31 seconds. Current position is 671 world layers away from a bull. Conclusion. After 31 seconds, the system will perform return warp. You will soon return to your original location. Gu Qing Shan's heart calmed down after a quick glance. Great. It seemed that Bali was heading in the right direction. Gu Qing Shan was prepared. I must hurry up and get there. I must reach the call of the bramblebirds. He had to find that silly girl, Su Cher. Gu Qing Shan thought to herself. 30 seconds passed in a flash. A screen of light enveloped Gu Qing Shan. He disappeared from the boundless void. A bull. Infinite World Town. At the hotel, the screen of light flashed as Gu Qing Shan appeared. He took a few tentative steps. The transparent barrier had disappeared. As expected, the binding oath was nowhere to be found. It couldn't find Gu Qing Shan's soul within the range of 500 million kilometers, so it automatically dissipated. Very good. Gu Qing Shan strode towards a door. Now we can clang. He once again crashed into a blood-colored barrier. Damn it, why is there still more? Gu Qing Shan crouched on the ground, clutching his head, venting his emotions. Shanu flew out, looked at Gu Qing Shan's pained expression and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Gongzi, Su Cher had set up 3 layers of protection. The first was her kiss, the second was the barrier just now, and this is the final layer of protection, that girl. Gu Shan gritted his teeth and reached his hand out to touch the blood-colored barrier. Following his touch, a few lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Bloodsea Deck, Demon Lord's Protection. After this card is activated, it will create a protective barrier of runes at a specific location. No person or attack will be able to break through the barrier. Description: this is the deep protection of the Lord of Blood for his disciple. Gu Shan was speechless. According to the skill description, this card is even more powerful than the Binding Oath from before. What I do now? Seeing him blanking out, Shanna became worried. Gongzi, what do we do now? Young lady, Su might already be fighting. Gu Shan stayed silent for a bit, then suddenly smiled. Shui oh Shui I'm actually a bit relieved that you have so many tricks up your sleeve, he muttered in a low voice. What do you mean, Gongzi? Shanna was a bit surprised and asked. we're not going to play with her anymore. We're going to directly leave, Gu Shan said. Directly leave? Shanna didn't understand. That's right, we're going to ask for help. Then leave, Shanna still didn't understand. There weren't many people in Infinity World's village right now. Even the inn was a self-service hotel with no one on duty. Gongzi can't even leave this barrier. So how would he ask for help? Who would he ask for help? Who would be able to break through the Blood Sea's strongest protection? Gongzi, what should we do? Just do as I say, like this. Gu Shan explained everything in a few words. Shannu turned around and turned into the Six Paths' great mountain sword. The sword gave off a faint chill as it pierced through the blood-colored barrier. Indeed, the Six Paths' great mountain sword could break through all laws, so Shannu was able to leave. The sword turned around in the air and flew to the highest point of the inn. Shannu stood on the roof of the inn, looking down at Infinity World's village under the night sky, and took a deep breath. She shouted as loud as she could. Is there anyone here? We'll treat everyone to a chicken dinner. Her voice traveled very far in the silent night sky, even echoing from the mountain range on the other side. Everything slowly became silent. Shanna waited for a few moments. Nothing seemed to have happened. All of a sudden, a vast amount of power formed a vortex that gathered at a certain location in Infinity World's village. A furious voice broke through the night sky and resounded across the entirety of Infinity World's village. Fucking hell, let's see who dares to eat chicken dinner. Following this voice, a black figure quickly flew from the other side of Infinity World's village. This black figure was both fast and furious, as if it was filled with endless rage. When it got close enough, Shannu recognized its appearance. Sure enough, it was that prideful rooster. Shanna calmed down. She turned into a sword and returned to the inn. The big rooster came one after another. He broke through the outer wall of the inn and landed in front of Gu Shan's room. You inside, listen to this great one, the big rooster shouted. He was a bit surprised, then carefully sensed it. Strange, this is the Bloodsea deck. The big rooster's anger slowly subsided and thought. I remember Gu Boy's female companion was Bloodsea's disciple. Could it be? With that in mind, he reached his wing out to knock on the door. Bam! A flash of blood. The big rooster's wing was knocked back. The Bloodsea deck, so it was them. That's strange. Why did they lure me here? The big rooster thought in confusion. At this point, Shannu flew out from the room and landed in front of the big rooster. Greetings, esteemed sir. Gu Shan hopes that you can help him with a small matter. Shanna smiled and said. Chapter 582. Following Shannu's explanation, the big rooster slowly understood what was going on. That blood cloak guy looks so mediocre. I didn't think he would find such a good disciple, the big rooster laughed. Please help Gu Shan, Shanna said. Fine, it's nothing. Not to mention I owe Iron Fist Bali a favor, but I won't be able to help Gu Boy too much from now on. He'll definitely be a henpecked husband. While mocking Gu Shan, the big rooster poked at the barrier with his beak. Boom! His attack touched the barrier. Like a waterfall of blood, it shot all the way to the sky. The big rooster screamed in pain as he was knocked back a few dozen meters. The barrier was untouched. Shannu, the big rooster. I don't believe it. The big rooster stood back up, angry. He regained his composure, threw himself at the barrier with all his might and started pecking at it. While pecking, he screamed and slammed his wings against the blood barrier. The loud sound echoed across the entire village. Cluck, 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 boom. Cluck, 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 boom. Cluck, 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 boom. Shanu covered her ears and retreated behind the barrier. Gongzi, what is he crying out for? Shanu silently asked. You don't want to know, Gu Qingshan replied. A few moments later, the big rooster finally succeeded. The blood-colored barrier exploded into ruby-like fragments, clanking as they fell to the ground. These beautiful fragments then turned into mystical runes that silently disappeared into the void of space. Gu Qingshan stood up from the bed and quickly left the room. Thank you very much, he sincerely said. If it weren't for the fact that I had no other choice, I wouldn't have asked you to come here. It's no big deal. It's only a small matter, against a weakling like Bloodcloak. I can easily do that, the big rooster replied. He hid the half-burnt chicken wing behind his back, not letting Gu Qingshan and Shanna see it. Gu Qingshan smelled the fragrance, couldn't help but rubbed her stomach and told the big rooster, I'll take you to dinner later, but I'm in a hurry right now. I need to answer the call of the bramble birds. As he spoke, he took out his golden card and prepared to leave for the Abul Hotel. What? The call of the bramble birds? The big rooster grabbed him. Yeah. Is there a problem? Gu Qingshan asked curiously. You've missed the time. The Light of Dawn Triest had just finished her summoning. All responders have entered her wings to help her resolve some minor issues. Gu Qingshan was stunned. What? It's already over? How regretful. You couldn't make it to the call of the bramble birds this time, the big rooster said. Gu Qingshan calmly said, This isn't right. I remember that its call will last for 7 days. Why did it stop now? Because there were too many people who responded. Triest felt that there were enough people. If she continued, we wouldn't be solving her problems, but creating more problems. So she stopped. Gu Qingshan, this isn't going to be good. If I don't successfully respond to the call of the bramble birds, I won't be able to unlock the new function of the War God UI. If I don't respond to the call of the bramble birds, I won't be able to meet up with Su Cher. Su Cher has already gone through all the danger. Do I just have to watch from the sidelines? Definitely not. Gu Qingshan thought for a bit, then asked, Brother Rooster, please call me Grandpa Rooster. Grandpa Rooster, is there any way to contact the Light of Dawn Triest? I need to ask her face to face. I hope that she'll let me enter her world. The big rooster appeared troubled. My relationship with them isn't too good. Why is that? The bramble bird's etiquette is too complicated. I've always been annoyed by their way of doing things. Is there no other way? You're a member of the club. I'm quite close to Bali, and you're a smart one. How about this? Let me think about it. The big rooster fell into thought. He was pacing back and forth in the hallway. Gu Qingshan stood on one side and didn't disturb him. A few moments later, the big rooster suddenly stopped. He quickly turned around and looked at Gu Qingshan. I know of someone who can act as a go-between, but whether or not you can move this person and have her speak for you will depend on your own abilities. Who is it? You've met her before, I have? Yes, we even had a meal together yesterday. I think it's best if you bring her a decent gift. After all, she's an esteemed person. A minute later, outside Infinity World's town, in a forest, Gu Qingshan and the big rooster were standing in front of a towering tree. The big rooster appeared a bit hesitant and said, Gu boy, it's a bit rude to knock on a woman's door in the middle of the night, especially when it's her door, unless you have a good reason, Gu Qingshan replied. Don't worry. I've already made the necessary preparations. Really? Then that's fine. The big rooster sighed in relief and knocked on the tree's door. An impatient female voice called out. What is it? I'm busy, Gu boy said he has a gift for you. While saying that, the big rooster instinctively hid behind Gu Qingshan. He tapped Gu Qingshan's back, signaling Gu Qingshan to speak. A gift? The female voice raised a bit. Gu Qingshan cleared her throat and spoke. Indeed, esteemed lady, after meeting you today, I had an idea. What idea? I feel that I have a few treasured items that might be worthy of your peerless beauty. After a few hours of careful consideration, I've decided to present these items to you as a gift. A gift, the female voice muttered. Her tone was no longer impatient, but rather curious. Come in. Following that, a door appeared in the middle of the towering tree. The door opened by itself as a winding wooden staircase appeared in front of Gu Qingshan's eyes. Let's go. It's best if your gift can please her. Otherwise, I'll be leaving first. The big rooster lowered his voice and said. Don't worry, Gu Qingshan reluctantly replied. Since there's no other way, I can only take a risk. They followed the long staircase up until they reached the top of the tree. The wooden beauty was currently lying on a rocking chair, enjoying the night sky full of stars. How strange. A few of the eternal stars are becoming dim. This is very rare, the wooden beauty muttered. Her expression was confused and annoyed. When Gu Qingshan and the big rooster appeared in front of her, she turned her attention to them. Brat from the club, you came to deliver a gift this late at night. Is there something urgent you need from me? The wooden beauty asked directly. Madam, let's not talk about that first. What I want to say is, if my gift can't please you, please forgive my rude intrusion this time, Gu Qingshan said. The wooden beauty quietly listened to his words and nodded slightly. Not bad, a polite little guy. Gu Qingshan tapped his inventory bag and took out a box made entirely from spirit jade. A letter was fluttering its wings, about to come out from the inventory bag together with the spirit jade box. Strange. What kind of letter is this? Gu Qingshan was silently surprised. But since this wasn't the right place, Gu Qingshan didn't have the time to care about this letter, so he temporarily put it back. He lightly put the spirit jade box on the table. This was a treasure box carved from top-grade spirit jade. The floral patterns on the surface were extremely lifelike. As soon as the jade box was taken out, it began to exude abundant spirit energy, quickly filling the entire top of the tree. This kind of spirit jade was a treasure that couldn't even be bought with a sky-high price in the cultivation world. But Gu Qingshan only used it as a box. The wooden beauty raised her eyebrows in surprise. This simple yet elegant packaging seems to be quite tasteful. Staring at the jade box, the wooden beauty was finally a bit interested. What's inside? She wasn't in a hurry to take a look and only smiled as she asked. From the looks of it, she was enjoying this gift-guessing process. Gu Qingshan didn't have time to play with her and directly answered. The limited edition pink phantom wings of the Pixie Kingdom from 1,000 years ago, as well as the limited edition pink diamond bikini that was sold at the time. The wooden beauty smile froze. She opened the jade box. 2 pink items were neatly placed inside the jade box. The pink wings gave off a soft, misty light, as thin as a veil. The pink bikini flew out and hovered in the air. It immediately saw the wooden beauty. Esteemed, elegant, charming, and beautiful lady, I am Lamont's limited edition pink diamond bikini. Pleased to meet you, the bikini politely said. The wooden beauty stared at the bikini. This was indeed a design from 1,000 years ago. But lately, retro styles have been trending. After 1,000 years, in the current 900 million world layers, there were very few people who could have both of these items and keep them in such perfect condition. No, there shouldn't be any. The wooden beauty lightly held her chest and spoke with uncertainty. I heard that both of you have a serial number. Indeed, a small symbol of status. The bikini displayed a unique line of characters. The pink wings also flew out and displayed a unique line of characters on its body. As the wooden beauty read the characters, a smile slowly appeared on her face. No one can imitate the pixie's unique symbol. It seems you really are one of their fabrics. The wooden beauty recalled something and continued. The pixie's fabrics are very fragile. As soon as they are examined, they will be destroyed. So I have a question to ask you in person, Please ask, the pink wings replied. The wooden beauty continued. Truthfully, I'm someone who cares a bit about things that have been worn by others, even if it's a precious fashion collectible. So you've always been a collector. Have you never been worn by anyone? About that, as the pink wings was about to say something, the bikini lightly nudged it. The bikini asked, Pardon me for asking, but if it's a lowly, dirty piece of clothing that has been worn by someone else, what would you do with it? You're a precious collector's item, so I won't do anything to you. At most, I'll just keep it as a collector's item, but I'll kill the person who wore it. Time froze for a split second. Gu Shan almost wanted to wipe the sweat off her forehead. Both of these items seem to have been used by me. Then, please state your answer, the wooden beauty said. Don't worry. No one has ever used us. Indeed, we deeply desire to touch skin because we've never known what it feels like. Chapter 583. Hearing them, the wooden woman gladly replied, Since you've never been worn by anyone before, I'll add you to my wardrobe from now on. Not just a collection room. At your service, my lady. The bikini and the pink wings replied in unison. Gu Shan's expression didn't change, but she silently sighed in relief. Youngster, how is it? Are we good friends? The bikini silently sent his voice. Very good. Gu Shan also sent her voice. The pink wings sent their voices. Perhaps you don't know this esteemed lady, but to be able to become her personal wardrobe, we have no regrets in our lives. So we're very grateful to you and don't want any misfortune to befall you. Thank you. Thank you, Gu Shan replied. At this point, the wooden woman smiled at Gu Shan and said, Normally, I don't accept gifts from others, but these two gifts of yours are very much to my liking. Please accept them, Gu Shan said. The wooden woman nodded, waved her hand, and the two pink fashionable items disappeared. She accepted Gu Shan's gifts without hesitation. Young one from the Justice Fist Club, you've really put in a lot of effort. Your gifts are also very precious. Even my mood has improved a lot. It is my honor, tell me your request. If I can do it, I'll consider it seriously. I missed the call of the bramble birds, but I have to go, so it was that the light of dawn Trieste and I are quite close. She's probably still attending the little bramble bird princess's coming-of-age banquet. The banquet will last for 3 days and 3 nights. The wooden woman stood up. Let's go, she said. Come with me to the banquet. I'll ask her to let you in. Gu Shan was overjoyed and clasped her fist. Thank you very much. Then what about me? The big rooster asked hesitantly. You still want to stay at my place? Come with me to the banquet. The wooden woman glared at him and said, It would be my honor. The big rooster became excited. He silently gave Gu Shan a thumbs up. Who would have thought that doing someone a favor would indirectly shorten the distance between them? What an unexpected harvest. A bull hotel. The entire hotel was immersed in the beautiful and elegant sound of music. Everyone was dressed in their best clothes, bowing to each other, whispering to each other as they walked. The bramble birds were an aristocrat of the mystic zones who paid a lot of attention to etiquette. All kinds of exquisite food were placed on exquisite trays, frozen by clouds of colorful mist. This was the mist of time that came from the mystic zones. It was a good thing for preserving food. Only when the food entered one's mouth would the fog of time disperse, and the original taste of the food would burst forth on the tip of the tongue. This ensured that the food would always taste the most delicious during the banquet. While walking, the big rooster turned to Gu Shan. I really can't stand the bramblebird's way of doing things. What style? Gu Shan was confused. Look over there, there's a 12-layer cream cake. And look over there, that gray sack is called the endless candy sack. Every table in the banquet is filled with endless delicacies. But the bramblebirds never take a single bite. Look over there, a 12-layer cream cake. And look over there, that gray sack is called the endless candy sack. No, they don't. They think it's bad manners to eat on a solemn occasion. They won't. They believe that eating in such a solemn occasion is rude. For the guests, what's wrong with that? The big rooster opened his eyes wide. It's not like that. Whenever they see the guests eating, they would always smile pridefully, as if the guests had committed some sort of grave offense in front of everyone, and they're tolerating their rudeness. Don't you think that's disgusting? Quiet down. The wooden woman glared at him. The big rooster immediately shut up. The wooden woman led Gu Shan and the big rooster through the banquet hall, the small banquet hall, the ball hall, and finally arrived at the innermost private room. 2 bramble bird royal guards with cold expressions were standing guard at the door. As the 3 of them walked in, the 2 guards greeted them. My apologies, this is the royal family's resting area. Please. The wooden woman picked up an invitation card with her fingertips. Seeing this invitation card, the 2 guards both took a step back and bowed. The heart of myriad trees, spirit of the holy tree of eternity, a friend of the bramble bird race, Welcome. Who's inside right now? Triste, only her? There are also a few other esteemed guests. The wooden woman was surprised. Hachem? The other members of the Bramble Bird royal family aren't here. Where are they? The two guards had a troubled expression on their faces. They exchanged glances. Forget it. I'm too lazy to ask about your matters. I'm only looking for trees for a small matter. The wooden woman waved her hand dismissively. The guard sighed in relief and opened up a path. The wooden woman led Gu Qing Shan and the big rooster inside. As they walked along the long hallway, they could already hear the intermittent sounds of conversation coming from the room ahead. After all, this was a heavily guarded area, and only VIPs who were familiar with each other were allowed in here. So the people inside the room didn't have to worry too much about talking. What? You didn't find them? Really, so many people were sent out. Why haven't they found them yet? I think I'll be fine, is that so? But where exactly did they go? Gu Qing Shan could hear their whispered conversation. The air seemed to be filled with a sense of fear. But when they opened the door and officially stood in front of Triste, all the chatter stopped. The other party followed the most basic of etiquette. The Light of Dawn Triste was a very kind and friendly girl. She had a tall and slender body, emerald green eyes, and long brown hair that cascaded down like a waterfall. She was discussing something with a few aristocratic ladies. Triste, I'm here, the wooden woman said. I remember you don't like banquets. What brings you here? Triste smiled and stood up to greet the wooden woman, Gu Qing Shan, and the big rooster. There's a small matter I need to trouble you with. How rare for you to trouble others with a small matter. It's something related to you. After some small talk, they sat down. The wooden woman told them what happened. Triste looked at Gu Qing Shan and asked, Is that so? You're trapped? That's why you couldn't make it in time for my call. That's right. This was an accident, but I'm more than willing to help you, Gu Qing Shan sincerely replied. Since she personally spoke up for you, I'll grant you this honor. Saying so, Triste took out a circular medal and tossed it to Gu Qing Shan. Gu Qing Shan caught it. It was a silver medal, with Triste standing on top of it, smiling at Gu Qing Shan. This medal represents that you've answered my call, Triste softly said. And inside the medal, there's a prize that's only second to the first place. Gu Qing Shan held the medal. Thank you for your generosity, but I actually want to enter your world more. Why? Triste asked. Because a friend of mine has already entered, and I'm worried about her safety. You don't have to worry about that. Triste smiled lightly. The rules I've set up this time are such that no one is allowed to die. As long as they're lightly wounded, they'll be sent out immediately. She looked at Gu Qing Shan. Her emerald eyes were crystal clear, but when she looked at them, they gave off the impression of a bottomless abyss. Hearing Triste's words, Gu Qing Shan was a bit surprised. The wooden woman spoke. Youngster, with such strict rules, you can be assured. Gu Qing Shan tried to organize her words, wanted to say something else. But Triste continued, the world I've been saving is already in a sealed state. Even if I want to open it, I'll need to spend a lot of power, so you might as well just wait here. I'm guessing that after half a day, everything will end perfectly, and your friend will come out as well. At that time, just tell me your name. I'll teleport her right in front of you. Hearing Triste say that, Gu Qing Shan couldn't say anything else. She gave him a medal, a prize second only to first place, guaranteed Su Share's safety, and even directly teleported him here. No matter how ungrateful a person is, they can't ask for more. Taking it one step further, if even light wounds aren't allowed in the world Triste saved, then Su Share will definitely return safely. Other than that, lines of text also appeared on the War God UI. Although Gu Qing Shan didn't have time to look at it, he knew that his quest had been completed. The system treated the medal as a sign of quest completion. In other words, he had answered the call of the Bramblebirds and was about to receive a new function from the War God UI. Gu Qing Shan thought for a short moment. Seems like everything went smoothly. He stood up and clasped his fist to Triste. Thank you very much. No need to be so formal. This lady had personally come out for you. Of course I'll treat her seriously, Triste smiled and said. She then grabbed the wooden woman's hand and said, Come with me. I have something I need your help with. What happened? The wooden woman asked. It's a very troublesome matter. The wooden woman stood up and followed Triste out the door. She seemed to have remembered something and turned back to the big rooster. Come with me. If there's anything, you can help me as well. Understood. The big rooster eagerly followed behind them. The wooden woman then looked at Gu Qing Shan. You stay here. We'll return together after everything here is done. Yes, Gu Qing Shan answered. The wooden woman and Triest walked out side by side. The big rooster followed behind them, winking at Gu Qing Shan to signal that his matter had been perfectly resolved. Gu Qing Shan couldn't help but smile and gave the big rooster a thumbs up. Thank you, Rooster Grandpa. You've helped me a lot this time. I'll definitely treat you to a meal later, he sent his voice. Hearing that, the big rooster looked up with a satisfied expression. That's more like it. See you later, he sent his voice. The big rooster followed the two women out the door. Chapter 584. The only people left in the room were Gu Qing Shan and the other aristocratic ladies. The ladies were silently observing Gu Qing Shan. This young man is so good-looking, they silently thought. Indeed, Gu Qing Shan's appearance wasn't bad to begin with. Not to mention that he had gone through so many years of hardship and bloodshed. His entire body exuded a faint sense of age and maturity that miraculously clashed with his youthful appearance. He had a unique air about him. More importantly, he was brought here by that esteemed lady herself. That lady very rarely spoke up for anyone. The noble ladies winked at each other. A noble woman with exquisite makeup silently turned her wrist, waving the emerald ring on her slender finger at Gu Qing Shan. The emerald gave off an almost undetectable vibration. A message came from the emerald and was quickly transmitted to the girl's mind. This life form has existed for less than 20 years. Rough estimate to be around level 35. Profession: swordsman. The girl opened her mouth in surprise. Level 35 was the standard for strength in the girl's world. This was a dividing line. At this level, a swordsman can already summon elemental spirits and practice advanced elemental swordsmanship. As the girl looked at Gu Qing Shan, a lot of thoughts started to form in her mind. He's so young, but he's already reached level 35. Even in her world, such a person would be considered a top-level genius. And she came from a certain world in the strife zones. It was an incredibly powerful world. From another perspective, using the standard of a cultivation world, it was very rare for such a young sainted realm cultivator to appear. Although Gu Qing Shan came from a scattered world, he never stopped cultivating. His talents were already quite good. In the past life, he only entered the cultivation world after spending half a year of his life, so his starting point was much lower than most people. His path was also much harder than everyone else's. But in this life, no matter how powerful a world he was in, he wasn't much weaker than his peers at the same age. The girl didn't know any of this, but in her mind, a level 35 swordsman who wasn't even 20 years old was definitely worth befriending. This person was more than qualified to be her friend. Besides, he was quite good-looking. Thinking until here, the noble lady smiled and said to Gu Qing Shan, "Hello, may I ask where are you from?" "Ah, hello. I come from a distant, scattered world," Gu Qing Shan said in a friendly manner. The smile on the noble lady's face froze. She was speechless. Scattered worlds. It was the symbol of primitive and barbaric. That kind of place would always bear the fate of being destroyed in the blink of an eye, and would never be able to accumulate the weight and height of civilization. The noble lady sighed, feeling very disappointed. Actually, even if it was a poor boy and a noble lady, it was still an acceptable romantic story. However, the person in front of him came from a scattered world and couldn't even be considered a poor kid. It was tiring to deal with this kind of people who came from uncivilized places because they wouldn't understand anything you said. The two sides were not on the same level. He continued thinking. In fact, this person must have paid a high price to invite that noble lady. He himself had no deep connection with the lady, because he was just a person from a scattered world. So even if he was a level 35 person, he was still nothing but a barbarian. His short-sighted vision and poor knowledge would greatly limit his future development. Thinking that, the noble lady backed down. After listening to the conversation between the two, the other noble ladies also exchanged glances with each other. They quickly reached an agreement. "Excuse us, We have something to take care of, they said. Go ahead, Gu Shan replied. The noble ladies stood up, bowed to Gu Shan, and left the green room. Their laughter could be heard from the corridor. What are you laughing at? The girl who talked to Gu Shan angrily asked. Ah, a scattered world. You're also... The noble ladies laughed even louder. This laughter seemed to be directed at the girl, but it also didn't seem to be. The door closed. The laughter slowly faded away. There was no one else around. The only person left in the room was Gu Shan. Gu Shan had already noticed the other party's intention and reaction. He didn't mind and instead calmed down. Everything was more or less settled. This was a rare moment of rest. He wasn't in a hurry to look at the war god quest, so he looked at the 20-layer cream cake on the table. The cake was decorated with all kinds of rare fruits. It looked good and had a faint fragrance. It didn't make people feel that it was too sweet. Gu Shan looked at another corner of the table. Inside the large ice bucket, various alcoholic beverages were still chilled. Gu Shan randomly picked out a black bottle of alcohol, cut a slice of cake, and sat down comfortably. I wonder how other people feel after a long journey. Gu Shan traveled through hundreds of millions of world layers without stopping, doing a lot of things, so he was feeling a bit tired. Since Su's share is going to be fine, and the system's quest is done, let's rest for a bit. With a light click, the black bottle was opened. A wondrous aroma of alcohol wafted out. Gu Shan took a deep breath. This type of alcohol wasn't inferior to his masterpieces at all. Gu Shan didn't bother looking for a glass and simply took a swig from the bottle. Not even using a glass, your manners are a bit rude, a female voice suddenly called out. Gu Shan was shocked and spat out the alcohol in his mouth. Cough, 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 cough. While coughing, he looked in front of him, only to see a young girl in a maid outfit standing in front of him, spitting out the alcohol in his mouth. Gu Shan was very surprised. How strange, when I spread out my inner sight, I couldn't sense anything. Where did this young girl come from? Ah, sorry, I didn't mean to. Gu Shan quickly apologized. The young girl had never been in such a situation before, so she seemed to be very frightened. But she was trying her best not to scream out loud. Her body was trembling as if she was going to faint at any moment. But she gritted her teeth and didn't faint. The young girl spoke with a calm and restrained tone. Your saliva, food residue, as well as the alcohol you've drunk, are all on my face. I've never been in such a situation before, so I'd like to ask you, how can I escape from this embarrassing situation without being rude? Gu Shan regained her senses, formed a hand seal to cleanse her body, and infused it with spirit energy. In just a few moments, all the foreign substances on the young girl's face disappeared without a trace. Gu Shan then guided some spirit spring water to help the young girl clean herself again. It's fine now. I'm really sorry about what happened just now, Gu Shan said apologetically. The young girl held her face and carefully touched it. After a while, her body finally stopped trembling. She took a deep breath, then lightly bowed to Gu Shan and said, I hate your actions from before, so please don't expect me to talk to you again. She angrily walked to one side, took out a knife and fork, then cut off a small piece of cake from the 20-layer cake and gracefully ate it. She seemed so hungry that she only needed a few bites to finish the cake. After the girl finished, she hesitated a bit, then cut off another piece of cake and continued eating. Seeing that she really didn't care about him, Gu Shan couldn't think of anything else to do. He's never been in such a situation before. There are all sorts of strange things in the 900 million world layers. Who says that my inner sight will definitely be able to detect the other party? Not to mention, this is the Bramble Bird Royal Green Room, so this young girl must have a deep relationship with the Bramble Birds to be allowed in here. Gu Shan has a favor to ask of the Bramble Birds, so he shouldn't act rashly on their turf. Since he already apologized, and the other party has already decided to ignore him, there's no need to provoke them again. With that in mind, Gu Shan silently nodded. But after going through this, he wasn't in the mood to eat or drink anymore. He looked at the War God UI. Lines of glowing text were silently floating on the War God UI. Your mission has been completed. Please hold Trace metal in your hand without touching it. Gu Shan took out the silver medal and held it in his hand. On the metal, Treese suddenly uttered a silent scream. She disappeared. Following that, new lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Communication channel has been connected, attempting to activate new War God functions. Activation process will take a few minutes. Please do not let the metal leave your hand. Guqing Shan held the metal and silently waited. Dong! The door to the green room was suddenly pushed open. My apologies. We're currently searching for a royal family treasure. A few fully armed guards walked in and said apologetically. They looked at Guqing Shan, then at the metal in Guqing Shan's hand. Their attitude was very polite. Please go ahead, Guqing Shan replied. A few guards began to search the room. As Guqing Shan stared at their actions, he felt a bit suspicious. These guards said they were searching for a treasure, but they weren't rummaging through the room at all. Instead, they were walking around the room with a scepter in hand. From the looks of it, they were trying to sense something. Wait a minute. Aside from the guards, why am I the only one in the room? Guqing Shan's heart skipped a beat. He looked around the room, even releasing his inner sight to search around. Where's the little girl from just now? How did she disappear without a trace? In theory, even ghosts wouldn't be able to hide from the search of inner sight. But the little girl really did disappear without a trace. When she appeared just now, Guqing Shan didn't notice at all. From the looks of it, these guards don't seem to know anything about this at all. That was a strange thing indeed. Guqing Shan's thoughts quickly turned, but his expression remained silent. A few moments later, the guards finished their search and walked towards Guqing Shan. My apologies, we were only doing our job, the leader of the guards said apologetically. Guqing Shan looked at him, then at the expressions of the other guards. They were all very calm. Seems like they also knew that this kind of search wouldn't yield any results. It's fine, you didn't affect me at all, Guqing Shan smiled. The guards nodded to him, turned to leave, and even helped him close the door. The only person left in the room was Guqing Shan. Guqing Shan closed his eyes. This isn't right. If the little girl was also a guest, the Bramble Bird guards wouldn't have only apologized to him. They scrupulously abided by etiquette and would definitely apologize to every guest. In other words, the Bramble Bird guards didn't know about the little girl's existence. Guqing Shan opened his eyes. He immediately saw the little girl. As soon as the guards left, she appeared again. The little girl sighed deeply, sounding very tired, as if she had done something just now, and it was too much for her to bear. Their gazes met. I'm very sorry. I have to go into hiding for a bit. Please don't tell the guards that I'm here, the little girl said. Who exactly are you? Guqing Shan asked. I am Her Highness the Princess Maid. After the princess went missing, I had no choice but to escape. The princess went missing? Guqing Shan was surprised. Today was supposed to be the Bramble Bird Princess' 12th birthday and coming-of-age ceremony. Why did she go missing? The little girl answered dejectedly. That's right, the royal family felt that us maids didn't take good care of the princess and caused her to go missing. So they decided to kill me, so that's why Guqing Shan appeared surprised, but the doubt in his mind only grew stronger. What kind of female servant was it that even the guards of the imperial family were unable to detect her presence? Guqing Shan's thoughts quickly turned. Recalling his journey here just now, he was very sure that the royal green room was protected by a powerful and strict force. But such a force still couldn't find the little girl. If the little girl had been here from the very beginning, even the light of dawn Treese couldn't notice her existence. The noble wooden beauty, the big rooster, as well as the 7 to 8 young ladies from different worlds didn't notice her existence at all. In other words, she managed to fool everyone. She only showed herself in front of him. No one else knew about this. Chapter 585. The little girl stood in front of Guqing Shan, a bit nervous. Seeing her like that, Guqing Shan decided to ask her directly, if you've been hiding from everyone, why did you only show yourself in front of me? Hearing him ask that, the little girl raised a newspaper. On the front page of the newspaper, there was a picture of the news. An old man was hugging Bali's leg, while Guqing Shan was standing on one side, staring at the old man in shock. Indeed, this was the same newspaper that Su Cher saw. That's why Su Cher was waiting for him in a bowl. The little girl raised the newspaper and looked at Gu Shan. No matter what, a person that Iron Fist Bali approves of, at least their character wouldn't be an issue, she thought for a bit, then added, although he's been crippled for a long time and owes a lot of money, for the past 1,000 years, he's never changed his standards and beliefs, so you trust him? Mother once said, if a person can enjoy the best and endure the worst, and their beliefs and actions aren't changed by the outside world, then they're their own hero. You have a wise mother. Hearing that, the little girl showed a sorrowful expression, but she quickly composed herself and said, the Iron Fist Club hasn't accepted anyone for over 1,000 years, and since you're recognized by Bali and Meow, you wouldn't do such a despicable thing. Despicable thing? What do you mean? Exposing a pitiful little maid and sending her on a path to her death. Thank you for your trust, but I really don't want to meddle. Gu Shan slowly calmed down. He silently observed the little girl. She had a normal appearance, a pair of small hands full of calluses, a tired expression. Even her maid uniform was a bit dirty. But she didn't seem to be more than 10 years old. Gu Shan squinted his eyes and carefully observed her. The little girl's hands were full of calluses. Her skin wasn't just dark, but also had a few ugly scars. But in the depths of her sleeves, skin as white as milk could be seen. Gu Shan immediately understood. This little girl actually knew how to disguise herself to hide her identity. You became a maid at such a young age? Gu Shan asked with a serious expression. Her Highness needs a playmate of the same age. She needs someone to accompany her at all times and respond to her commands. That's why I was chosen to be her maid, the little girl said pitifully. Gu Shan nodded. This excuse was passable. The Bramblebird Princess had only just turned 12, so she needed a few people around her age. A maid of this age could be either a playmate or a servant. She was indeed very suitable. It seemed that she was a smart girl, but she had too little social experience. The little girl looked at Gu Shan and said in a condescending tone, since you won't expose me hiding here, I'll forgive your rude behavior just now. Gu Shan was speechless. He was not going to argue with a little girl who ran away. In his mind, he had a few guesses. As long as these guesses are verified, it'll be easy to reach a clear conclusion. But Gu Shan really didn't want to get involved in any of this, because even if he closed his eyes, he could already tell how heavy and dangerous those things were. And he only wanted to wait for Su Cher. As soon as Su Cher returns, he'll immediately take her away. Although the Justice Iron Fist Club wasn't too big, both Bali and Meow were decent people, so they should be able to get along well with Su Cher. The Justice Iron Fist Club itself was a super-dimensional world, so it was very safe. Meow's spatial abilities were also quite impressive. Combined with the fact that Bali's leg was still recovering, it won't be long before Bali Iron Fist returns to the ranks of top-tier combatants. Trieste also gave him a lot of rewards, which he could use to pay off the club's debt. This way, his life would be much more stable. He and Su Cher would be able to spend a lot of time together. While staying at the Justice Iron Fist Club, he could also ask Bali about some cultivation problems. At most, he'll just have to make some good food to reward Bali. According to Meow, there's a stream behind the club. When the weather is good, they can even go fishing there. But those fish are all very sly. As soon as they notice someone approaching, they'll warp to another world. Bali doesn't like catching fish, while Meow doesn't know how to cook fish, so they rarely get to eat those fish. But the quality of those fish is the best, so there are often star-rated restaurants willing to buy them. As Gu Shan thought about it, his gaze softened. That's right. Why should I get involved in anything else? The only thing worth doing is to wait for Su Cher's return. Having made up his mind, Gu Shan looked at the little girl and said, from now on, I'll pretend I never saw you, and I won't tell anyone about this. Do as you please. The little girl smiled happily and curtsied. Although you're a crude person, you're not a bad person, the little girl observed Gu Shan. Seeing that he didn't mind at all, she calmed down a bit. It was now that she realized she was still hungry, so she picked up a plate of cake and gracefully ate it. Gu Shan no longer paid attention to the little girl, because the silver seal in his hand was becoming a bit hot, and the war god UI had also changed. Guqing Shan quickly looked at the War God UI. At the very bottom of the UI, after War God Skills, War God Thaumaturgy, and War God Title, a new icon was lit up. This icon was very simple, almost like a thick book. Time node confirmed. The relevant keys have been obtained. New function of the system has been activated. You've obtained a new function. Doomsday Chronicles. Doomsday Chronicles. You can now use a unique item in your hand to look up any famous historical events related to it. Because you only lived until 10 years into the future in the past life, you can only look up any historical events related to the next 10 years of the past. Special note. The system has only recorded a few extremely famous historical events. The system doesn't know the truth behind the entire event. After seriously reading through it, Guqing Shan smiled in surprise. That was an interesting feature. Right now, Tree Seal in his hand was showing a few lines of text on the UI. Tree Seal, War God Skills. This item does not contain any skills, unable to be learned or learned. Doomsday Chronicles. It proves that you participated in this time's call of the Bramblebirds. To look up the historical events related to Tree Seal, please pay 100,000 soul points. That much soul points? Guqing Shan looked at the seal in shock. Just what kind of shocking secret is this seal hiding? Guqing Shan thought for a bit, then suddenly waved his hand and took out the Chao Yin sword from the void of space. He wanted to test out the new function a bit more. A few more lines of text appeared on the War God UI. An ancient sword, named Chao Yin. In the age of old, Shenwu world was an endless ocean. When the divinities left, they forged this sword to rule over the 4 seas. The wielder of this sword is the king of the seas. This sword has a weapon spirit thaumaturgy. Even a sea of bitterness can pass. War God Skills. This sword does not contain any skills, unable to be learned or learned. Doomsday Chronicles. The system did not find any famous historical events related to this sword. Guqing Shan slightly nodded. Indeed, if I hadn't entered Shenwu world in this life, this sword probably wouldn't have been born. This was an interesting new feature. This function can help me broaden my horizons and learn more secrets. Thinking that, Guqing Shan tapped his inventory bag, wanted to take out more things to test out this new function of the War God UI. But as soon as he opened the storage pouch, a letter immediately flew out and circled around him. Guqing Shan was surprised and quickly caught the letter in his hand. This letter had already appeared once before, but he was busy asking the wooden woman for help, so he didn't have time to read it. Now's the perfect time to see what it is. Guqing Shan opened the letter. A blank piece of paper. There was nothing on it. But very quickly, a hurried female voice came from the paper. Guqing Shan, it's Meow. Chapter 586. The 900 million outer world layers. Superdimensional zones. A screen of light appeared. Bali and Meow appeared on a crowded street. This was Sun City, a superdimensional world close to the club. The two of them were hurrying on their way. How much longer do we need? Bali asked. Meow tried to persuade him. Bro, don't worry. With just the two of us, we won't be able to fight against the true demon army. That brat Guqing Shan probably won't be able to hold on. We need to hurry. So how much longer do we need? Bali asked again. We need to contact a few trustworthy friends and get to a bull together. The entire process will take at least 1.5 days, Meow replied. Damn it, my leg. Dash. Your leg is already recovering very quickly. We can only travel through superdimensional worlds. Don't think of anything else, Meow sternly told him. Compared to other worlds, superdimensional worlds were the safest. Furthermore, with Meow's spatial abilities, she could also return to the club directly from other superdimensional worlds. For Bali's safety, it would be best for them to travel through superdimensional worlds. As little Meow said this, it suddenly noticed something. She suddenly took out a piece of paper. Ho! A wisp of flame appeared on the letter. The entire paper was slowly burned away. Meow's ears drooped down with a sorrowful expression on her face. Bali lowered his voice and asked, Is this the token of a bull's guardian? That's right, just like me, he likes to write things. Unfortunately, even though he's very strong, his novels are terrible. So I've always laughed at him saying so. Meow couldn't help but shake her head. The destruction of the token meant that the person was no longer in this world. Barley sighed as he looked at the letter that was gradually burning. A bull's guardian was directly destroyed. Seems like the demons have begun to act. Did you contact him? He asked. I've already sent him a message, but he probably didn't receive it, Meow replied. I know this person, but it's strange. He should be quite strong. Why was he killed so easily? Barley became vigilant. He muttered, if the demon army really came to attack, he would definitely do his best to deal with it and cause a huge commotion, Meow continued. The surrounding worlds will definitely be alerted, and many experts will go to help. Yes, the Guardian of the Spire will also issue a warning at the first instance. The two of them shut their mouths and looked around. The crowd was still very lively, and no one showed panic on their faces. At this time, someone walked past them, holding a newspaper from the Spirekeeper Association. The two of them immediately followed. They skimmed through the newspaper in a few glances and then stopped. If there was news of a bull, it would be the headline, but there's no news of him today, Meow said. Bali fell silent. He gradually tightened his grip on the steel gloves on his hands. Brother? Meow asked worriedly. I'm fine, but it looks like someone else has defected to the fiendish demons, Bali said. Meow sighed, unable to speak. Only when the guardian of a bull is in a defenseless state can they be silently dealt with. Who can make him defenseless? Only those who are trustworthy. Bali said, We need to hurry. The two of them sped up. A bull hotel. Inside the royal green room. Gu Shan also had a letter in her hand. Meow's voice came from the letter. An extremely terrifying danger will soon appear in a bull. You won't be able to go against it with your current strength. No, not even the entirety of a bull or the thousands of world layers around it will be able to go against it. I'm guessing that it's the demon's scheme. A bull will definitely fall. Meow's voice sounded very hurried. Shan, as soon as you get your girlfriend, please use the void string to return to the club. Only superdimensional worlds are safe. I've reinforced the void string and doubled its power. You can easily bring 3 to 5 people back with you. Remember, do not stay for too long. After a moment of hesitation, Little Meow said something else. If you can't make it back in time, please find a safe place and wait for us. My brother's wounds will take 2 days to heal. After 2 days, we will definitely come to save you and your girlfriend. Hearing that, Gu Shan's heart slowly sank. Indeed, at this critical moment, Bali and Meow were indeed trustworthy people. But they won't make it in time. A bull is about to undergo a drastic change. The demons are coming. Gu Shan didn't know how Meow found out about this, but he knew that Meow wasn't the type of person to speak carelessly. And Meow wouldn't write such a letter just to make a joke. The situation really isn't right. Gu Shan suddenly felt anxious. When will Su Cher be able to leave Tree's world? And the most frustrating thing is that I can't even get in. What should I do to quickly bring Su Cher away? As calm and collected as he was, holding Meow's letter in his hand, he couldn't come up with a solution no matter how hard he tried. While he was thinking, a voice came from next to him. Hello, Gu Shan was shocked. When he looked up, the little maid had once again appeared in front of him without him noticing. She really did come without a sound. His inner sight couldn't detect her at all. This sudden appearance caused Gu Shan, as a cultivator, to be extremely cautious. Although he can also use Shadow Shift and Ground Shrink, he still felt a lot of pressure when someone else did that. That was Meow's voice just now. Pardon me for asking, but you didn't know what was going to happen in a bull before? The little maid cautiously asked. I did. I just found out, Gu Shan answered. Seeing him openly admit it, the little maid's gaze became a bit different. She muttered in a low voice, Meow. No matter what, Bali and her are both well-known people. Mother also said that they're one of the very few people that can be trusted. Gu Shan heard that, but didn't say anything. He was too worried right now to think of a way to get Su Cher back, so he didn't have time to say anything to the little maid. At this time, a new notification appeared on the War God UI. Glancing over it, Gu Shan understood that the system was reading the letter in his hand. Lines of glowing text appeared on the UI. Item name, Justice Iron Fist Club's letter. War God skills. This is a universal emergency letter. It doesn't contain any skills that can be learned. chronological event description. The person who wrote this letter has discovered a shocking truth. She has found out about a famous historical event. You can use both this letter and tree seal at the same time to reduce the soul points cost to find out about this event. Would you like to spend 10,000 soul points to check this historical event? Guqing Shan was surprised. Using tree seal to check the relevant historical event required 100,000 soul points. But with Meow's letter, the cost was quickly reduced to 10,000 soul points. Seems like Meow wasn't wrong. The demons are coming. Guqing Shan didn't hesitate to spend 10,000 soul points. Since the danger has already appeared, the most important thing right now is information. He needs information. A few more lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. You've exchanged for the corresponding Doomsday Chronicles event. The specific information of this event came from the headlines of the past life. Wait a minute. Guqing Shan couldn't help but ask, why headlines? If it's a historical event, you could tell me everything about it right away. Ting. The system replied, because I didn't experience it myself, the system can't determine the exact details of the event. The system can only show you information related to the historical event. Following the system's explanation, a newspaper from the Spirekeeper Association appeared on the UI. Looking at the date, this is tomorrow's newspaper, which means this event will erupt between today and tomorrow. Sure enough, the Doomsday Chronicles can only show well-known historical events. It doesn't contain any hidden information. Guqing Shan shook his head and looked at the headline of the newspaper. 2 lines of text from the Spirekeeper Association appeared. The Demon King Order has reappeared. Chapter 587. Reading this title, Guqing Shan's blood almost froze. In truth, ever since his return, he had been thinking about what happened in the past life. Because there were too many suspicious points. After going through so many worlds, Guqing Shan had realized a certain truth. World's Apocalypse Online. It forcefully destroyed humanity's path to becoming stronger against the demons. In the past life, humanity's final destruction was all because of this game. At the most crucial moment of the war, no one could stand up and lead humanity against the demon lords, because no one could break through to Sainted Realm. The amount of EXP required was too much. Humanity couldn't possibly do it. Facing the approaching apocalypse, this feeling of helplessness caused everyone to feel despair. But then, why was it called the Demon King Order? And what is kindling? Guqing Shan held his breath and continued reading. Apparently to be released as soon as possible, there wasn't a lot of content in the emergency news. Triest has defected to the demon's side. The flames of war have been ignited. The 900 million World Layers allied army is regrouping. The second full-scale war is about to begin. We have confirmed that the light of dawn Triest brought, World Apocalypse Online, is kindling from the fallen zones, hid it in her personal world, then used the call of the bramble birds to sneak into a bull. The Demon King Order is spreading across a bull. Once World Apocalypse Online spreads, a large number of world layers will fall into the demon's hands. We cannot allow kindling to gain power. We cannot allow the Demon King Order to level up. All Lord-class combatants, please join the battle to fight against it. I repeat, everyone, please raise your weapons and fight against the apocalypse's kindling. The news ended here. Guqing Shan stared at the newspaper on the War God UI, speechless. He read the news again and again. So the so-called call of the bramble birds was actually Tree's scheme. World Apocalypse Online. Kindling was hidden in Tree's personal world. Guqing Shan sighed. The card of divination wasn't wrong. I was so close to entering that world. If I went in, including myself, everyone would have become demonized. It was Su Sher who noticed the ominous signs. She was the one who had stopped him from entering from the beginning. But she had entered that world. Guqing Shan abruptly stood up and paced back and forth in the room. Think of a way. Something had to be done immediately. Can I expose Triest now? I'm afraid I can't. The light of dawn Triest. Her name resounded throughout the 900 million world layers. The number of combatants who were on good terms with her couldn't be counted. And he was just a newbie from a scattered world. No one would believe in themselves. Triest could even kill me on the spot for slandering her. Iron Fist Bali had yet to recover from his injuries, so he was probably no match for her. It had been a while since Sue Cher entered that world. Damn it, I have to figure out a way to get her out of there. But there was no way to fight against Triest. The difference in strength between the two sides was like the difference between clouds and mud. Gu Qingshan's heart gradually tightened. At this moment, a timid voice sounded. "Excuse me, what happened to you?" Gu Qingshan stopped abruptly. He looked towards the source of the sound. The little girl was looking at him, her eyes evaluating him. "I was talking to you just now, but you didn't hear me," she explained. "What did you say to me?" "I wanted to ask you to take me to the Justice Iron Fist Club to seek refuge. As you know, as a convicted maid, I really can't hide from the Bramble Bird royal family's pursuit forever." As soon as the little girl said so, her expression changed. She disappeared on the spot. At the same time, the door to the room opened again. Two groups of fully armed guards came in. They exuded an air of killing intent. "Who are you?" The leader of the group shouted harshly. Gu Qingshan answered without changing her expression. "The light of dawn and the spirit of the holy tree want me to stay here." The guards all froze. At this point, another group of guards entered the room. They were the guards who had come to this box before. They knew about Gu Qingshan. Misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. This is an esteemed guest who came together with the spirit of the holy tree, one of the guards hurriedly explained. "Are you sure?" "That's right. Lady Triest also gave him a medal and specifically told him that he would stay here." The leader looked at Gu Qingshan. Indeed, Lady Triest's medal was in Gu Qingshan's hand. Then there was no mistake. Unless Lady Triest herself bestowed it, no one would be able to receive her medal. It was only now that the guards understood. Anyone who can enter this room must be a guest, so they can only blame themselves for being too nervous that they couldn't help but want to investigate when they saw an unfamiliar face. "We are very sorry. Due to the urgency of the situation, we hope you can forgive us if we have offended you." The leader spoke apologetically. "It's fine," Gu Qingshan replied. He thought of something and appeared curious. "What are you looking for? How about you tell me? If I see anything, I can directly report it to you." The guards exchanged glances. "If it's Lady Triest's guest, we are looking for a royal maid. She stole an important treasure of the Bramble Bird royal family and is currently hiding," the leader answered. "She should be around 10 years old. Yes, she is actually Her Royal Highness the Princess Maid. If you find any suspicious young girls, please tell us right away." "Definitely," Gu Qingshan replied. The guards nodded and bowed in unison. Then, they quietly and quickly retreated out of the room. Gu Qingshan hurriedly said, "Wait a minute, is there anything else?" The leader of the guards stopped and asked. "About that. I don't want to stay here either, but the light of dawn and the spirit of the holy tree told me to wait here. So I can't leave." Gu Qingshan shrugged helplessly. "I'm afraid that if someone comes in and sees me as an unfamiliar face, it would be another troublesome misunderstanding." Hearing that, the guards silently nodded. "But we can't always be rude to our guests. If we do that, what would be left of the Bramblebird's etiquette? This is Lady Triest's guest, as well as someone brought here by the spirit of the holy tree. If the guards who come to search cause trouble again, they would most likely anger the two esteemed ladies." Thinking that, the leader of the guards became serious. He told the guards, "Relay my orders. The Royal Green Room has already been searched twice. There is no need to search again. Furthermore, we have an esteemed guest here. No one is to disturb her again." "Understood," the guards replied. "Thank you." Gu Qingshan clasped her fist and said, "No need to be so formal. It was our bad hospitality." The leader of the guards lightly bowed. This time, they really left the room. The door closed again. Sha! The little girl reappeared. Her face was covered with beads of sweat, and she gasped for air. It seems hiding from the search wasn't an easy task. "Thank you for your protection. You are a gentleman full of compassion. I will always remember your kindness," she said. She was clearly exhausted to her limit, but still bowed solemnly to Gu Qingshan. Her etiquette couldn't be faulted at all. Gu Qingshan stared closely at the little girl. Originally, he didn't want to get involved in anything, but now he had no other choice. He had to grasp any chance he could to help Su Share survive. Gu Shan was quickly thinking, countless thoughts flashing through his mind. He was rethinking every single detail of his journey to this place. He was trying his best to find a single ray of hope. "You're now." The little girl opened her mouth. "Please wait a moment. I have something to take care of first." Gu Shan cut her off. He anxiously paced back and forth in the room. The little girl went silent and observed him. What was he in a hurry for? "Right? I was hiding on the side just now and heard their conversation. The spirit of the holy tree brought him here. His goal is to enter Tree's collection world to find his girlfriend. Seems like he's worried about his girlfriend." The little girl slowly understood. "Just now, I made a request, but was interrupted by the guard who suddenly appeared. Since the guard won't come to search again for now, I'll wait until this person calms down a bit before begging him to take me away. After all, he's the only person who hasn't exposed my existence since I've been on the run for so long. He's a member of the Justice Iron Fist Club." Thinking that, the little girl calmed down. Gu Shan paced back and forth in the room, his mind quickly turning. First of all, the light of dawn, the spirit of the holy tree, and even the big rooster were all top-notch combatants. A mere maid wouldn't be able to escape their senses. This maid was sprayed all over by me, but still managed to maintain her etiquette and elegance, asking me for a solution. Inside her sleeves, her skin was as smooth as milk. She also knows this miraculous method of disappearing. This is most likely a top-notch secret technique, otherwise she would have been caught already. Every time she appears, even my inner sight can't detect her. As a cultivator, Gu Shan has never seen such a powerful concealment technique before. Such a technique must be extremely valuable. Any organization would set up the strictest of procedures to prevent a technique of this level from being leaked out. Not to mention, such a top-notch technique would require a long period of study and comprehension to fully grasp. How can a mere maid do all that? Which means she's someone else. From a series of events that happened, there was only one person who never showed up at the banquet. The only person who could cause Triest so much trouble wouldn't be a mere maid. The Bramblebird Princess. Gu Shan nodded unnoticeably and made a hypothesis in his mind. Then his thoughts turned. If this little girl really is the Bramblebird Princess, why would she run away? As the next heir of the Bramblebird royal family, the Bramblebird Princess doesn't need to fear Triest. She only needs to call for countless Bramblebirds to serve her. But she really is running away. If that's the case, the Bramblebird royal family is done for. In other words, Triest has already taken control of the entire Bramblebird race. Triest has already defected to the demons. From the looks of it, a bull's calamity has most likely arrived. Triest must have made a series of preparations in the dark. If it was Gu Shan, he would have done the same. Gu Shan sighed in disappointment. On the way here, the entire Abul Hotel was filled with joyous laughter. Everyone was enjoying the Bramblebird Princess coming-of-age ceremony banquet. This banquet will last for 3 days and 3 nights. But including the spirit of the holy tree and the big rooster, who would know that the demons are already hiding in the dark, preparing to slaughter them all? Who would notice that World's Apocalypse Online was about to ignite? Gu Shan's heart sank. He felt like he was standing on a sinking ship, while everyone on the ship didn't notice at all. Sighing, Gu Shan continued to think. Triest's preparations. Are there any loopholes? I'm not on the same level as Triest. I don't even know what kind of preparation she made, let alone loopholes. There's no other way. Shwe air, Gu Shan muttered. At this point, he couldn't hold back his emotions anymore. Triest is extremely powerful. She has the kindling of the apocalypse, as well as the support of billions of demons in the dark. And I don't know anything about any of Triest's preparations. And Shwe has already fallen into that world, about to die, or become demonized. What should I do? Is there any way? Gu Shan picked up a bottle of ice wine and placed it on his cheek. The cold sensation forced him to calm down. Calm down. I need to calm down. I need to seriously think about it. Gu Shan encouraged himself. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and quickly thought again. Thinking about it carefully, from start to finish, I only know a single thing. That is, Triest went out with the spirit of the holy tree, as well as the big rooster. Such a simple piece of information. Even if I know it, what use would it be? Wait a minute, Gu Qin Shan, turn around. Chapter 588. The Royal Green Room. Time slowly passed. The liquor was still being kept cold inside the ice bucket. The 20-layer cream cake was giving off a faint sweet smell. The light wasn't too bright, but it wasn't dim either. It was just enough to make people feel comfortable. Gu Qin Shan and the little girl exchanged glances. There were only the two of them left in the room, and this place was temporarily safe. Sir, the little girl tried asking. Gu Qin Shan didn't say anything for now. After all, it's been a while since Su Cher entered that world. His thoughts were moving quickly, trying to find a loophole in Triest's plan. Why did Triest have to search for the Bramblebird Princess in such a hurry? If she had sided with the demons, she should have immediately spread World Apocalypse online and launched a surprise attack on a bull. But Triest didn't do that. The war hadn't even started yet. A bull was completely silent and peaceful. Under the calm surface of the water, the undercurrent was surging. Everything was like a sharp arrow on a bow, ready to be fired. Triest had mobilized all the royal guards. She was still searching for the princess. Just this private room alone had been searched twice. Even an esteemed guest like the spirit of the holy tree was mobilized by Triest to join the search. Triest's methods are quite good, but so much time has already passed. Does Triest not intend to start the war without finding the Bramblebird Princess? Why? Why did this happen? Gu Qin Shan looked at the little girl and fell into thought. This Bramblebird Princess is quite smart. She was clearly hiding where Triest was. Triest probably didn't think of that at all. War. Princess, there must be a crucial point that I don't understand. To solve this, I have to find that crucial point from the Bramblebird Princess. With that in mind, Gu Qin Shan spoke. Just now, you seem to have something you wanted to tell me? He asked the little girl. Ah, yes, Your Excellency, I want to ask you to take me away from here to the Justice Iron Fist Club in the superdimensional zones, the little girl hurriedly answered. No problem. I can take you away from here without waiting for the little girl to feel happy. Gu Qin Shan continued. I need to wait for someone first. Only after I get her can I take you away. What? You need to wait for someone? The little girl was stunned. The situation was dire. Triest would find him at any moment, but he still had to wait for someone. The little girl recalled the previous matter and suddenly said, You are waiting for your girlfriend, right? Yes. Gu Qin Shan answered without changing her expression. She participated in the call of the Bramblebirds. Triest agreed to take care of her, so she should be coming out soon. The little girl fell into a state of panic. If there was no hope of survival, he would accept his fate. But now that he had suddenly seen the light, he was unwilling to give up the chance to live no matter what. The young lady sized up the man in front of her. This was a young man from a scattered world. He didn't understand anything. Can you persuade him to give up waiting for his girlfriend? The little girl pondered for a moment and shook her head. I'm afraid that's not possible. Since he was willing to pay such a huge price to get the spirit of the eternal holy tree to speak up for him, he must be determined to save his girlfriend. The only way was to help him. As long as his problem was solved, he could follow him and use the beacon of the Iron Fist Club and the Void String to leave this place. Sigh, there was really no other way. As long as I leave this place, no matter who I meet, they would call for the guards. Because the reward for finding me was so high that no one could refuse. Everyone wanted to establish a good relationship with the Bramblebird royal family. But no one knew that the royal family no longer existed. The current royal family were all fakes. The little girl looked at Gu Qin Shan with a complicated expression. Only he didn't call for the guards right away. He was the only chance of survival. Compared to waiting for death here, following him was the only chance of survival. I'm the last remaining bloodline of the Bramblebird royal family. I definitely can't die here. The little girl quickly made up her mind and said, I can help you enter Triest's world and pick up your girlfriend, but you must swear that you won't leave me behind. You have a way to enter that world? Gu Qin Shan appeared surprised. I do. I actually stole Triest's world. That's why she was in such a hurry to find me, the little girl answered. Gu Shan held her breath and asked in a low voice, "Why did you steal her world?" The little girl answered, "This is my revenge, and I have the ability to make sure that Triste will never be able to find that world, as long as I don't get caught by her." Gu Shan couldn't help but swing her fist. "So that's why. World's Apocalypse Online. Kindling was hidden inside Triste's world. Since that world was stolen by the Bramblebird Princess, the Demon King order couldn't spread, so Triste couldn't help but delay her attack. This was the crux of everything." "Well done," he loudly shouted. The little girl was a bit surprised, smiled, then quickly regained her calmness and sorrow. The little girl continued, "But I have to tell you, things might not be as you think. That world is extremely dangerous, more dangerous than any world you've ever been to." "Do you know what kind of world I've been to?" Gu Shan asked. "I don't, but it's truly dangerous. A single misstep and you'll lose your life. You must be extremely careful. I don't want to die with you. I know, Your Highness the Bramblebird Princess." The room fell into silence. The little girl couldn't help but take a step back. She couldn't help but take another step back. But when she saw that Gu Shan didn't do anything, she didn't take another step back. The little girl stared closely at Gu Shan, trying her best to control the expression on her face so that she wouldn't show any signs of panic. She waited for a while. The man in front of her was still staring at her, not saying anything, not doing anything. The little girl slowly understood. He doesn't intend to do anything. What a strange person. Whenever anyone else found out about me, they would immediately call for the guards and report that they found the little maid. This person saw through my true identity, but didn't do anything about it. Each and every one of his actions seemed to have been carefully considered and contained his unique thoughts. The little girl couldn't help but ask, "When did you notice?" "Well, I want to see it." "Is my disguise such a failure?" the little girl dejectedly asked. "No, it's because you're too outstanding. The role of a maid doesn't suit you. I'm saying this in hopes that you'll feel a bit better." "Do you feel a bit better now?" "Thank you. I think you felt that at this point. We should be honest with each other. That's why you told me my identity. Once again, I have to praise your excellence, Your Highness." The little girl silently nodded, then turned around. Her dull skin turned as white as jade. The maid costume disappeared, replaced by a pale blue dress. Her posture was elegant. Her demeanor was dignified. Even with the strictest of etiquette, she didn't seem to be out of line. But she was only 12 years old. Gu Shan's eyes met with hers. Unlike the light of dawn Triste, Her Royal Highness the Princess had a pair of eyes as clear as the sky. When you look at her face to face, you'll unconsciously fall into them, feeling a sense of comfort as if you're looking up at the stars. Let me introduce myself again. I am Lola, this generation's Bramblebird Princess. Lola? That's right, I am Gu Shan. I have no other hope now. Mr. Gu Shan, you came from the Justice Iron Fist Club. Can you take me away? She changed the way she addressed him, no longer calling him you. Of course, as long as you can take me into Triste's world and let me take back my girlfriend, Gu Shan answered without hesitation. Princess Lola hesitated a bit, then asked, "Why was she able to enter that world, but you weren't?" Gu Shan then told her the reason. "This little princess is very sharp, so I don't need to lie to her." Hearing that, Princess Lola clicked her tongue. "No wonder you want to save your girlfriend. One last question," Lola continued. "I can take you to the world you've found, but before that, how can I trust you?" By Hua Sex, Gu Shan hereby swears, as long as you help me enter that world, I will definitely take you away from this place and find a way to survive. If I go against this vow, my Tao heart shall be broken, and I shall forever be a cripple. An invisible gust of wind drifted around Gu Shan, slowly entering his body. Is this the vow of cultivators? It's not common, but it's very useful. I'll trust you this once, Lola said. She pointed her finger at the 20-layer cake. The huge cake split open on both sides, revealing a transparent crystal ball inside. The crystal ball silently floated in the air, giving off a faint misty glow. Lola waved her hand. The crystal ball hovered into her hand. "This is Triste's world. I've sealed it away. That's why she couldn't sense its location," Laura explained. Gu Shan was surprised. It turns out Lola used a spell to seal off this world's presence and hid it inside the cake. The bramble birds are nobles of the mystic zones. They would never eat in front of others. Other than the bramble birds, the other people who entered this green room were also not ordinary people. Why would they cut a piece of cake and eat it in front of everyone? That's why hiding the crystal ball inside the cake was a good idea. Chapter 589. Gu Shan looked at Lola, then at the crystal ball in her hand. How impressive, he muttered in a low voice. This 12-year-old girl was able to seal an entire world. Princess Lola stroked the crystal ball and chanted an incantation. A soft string came out from the crystal ball and hovered in front of Gu Shan. Gu Shan caught the string. Lines of glowing text appeared on the War God UI. Void string from Tree's collection world. You've already bound your own super-dimensional beacon, so you cannot use this world's void string to bind with the beacon of this world. War God skills. This void string does not contain any skills. Chronology event note. You've already learned about the relevant chronology event. Item description. This string leads to a super-dimensional world that contains the hopes of billions of demons. This world is covered by a thin layer of seal. This seal and the power of the world have reached a miraculous balance. Please do not carelessly disturb it. Otherwise, this balance might be broken. Gu Shan looked at Lola. Sure enough, Lola's expression became tense. She spoke with a serious tone. Truthfully, I was only able to seal this world out of sheer luck, so make sure you don't touch this crystal ball no matter what. I'll be the one to cast the spell when we enter. Otherwise, if the seal breaks down, Triest will immediately sense it. I understand. Gu Shan also became serious. In comparison, he knew a bit more than Lola did. Billions of demons were waiting for this world to appear because it contained the Demon King Order. At the same time, Gu Shan noticed that this world was a super-dimensional world. If billions of demons were to obtain the void string of this super-dimensional world, just thinking about it made his hair stand on end. No matter where this world was, it would cause a storm of blood and carnage. But Lola actually managed to seal this world. This was truly a stroke of luck. Triest is probably going crazy from worry right now. Should I throw this crystal ball somewhere? Gu Shan silently thought. He quickly gave up on the idea. No matter where they were thrown, there was no guarantee that anyone would be able to win against the Demon King Order and the light of dawn Triest that came with it, and the billions of demons in the fallen zones. Gu Shan was unwilling to give up and asked, after saving my girlfriend, can we leave with this world? No. Do you think the Iron Fist Club's void string can move an entire world? If that's the case, no one in the 900 million world layers would have to fear the demons. They could just take the world and run away, Lola helplessly said. How long can your seal last? Gu Shan asked again. We need to find your girlfriend within a day. Gu Shan looked into the crystal ball, only to see nothing but a blizzard inside. Nothing at all. The wind and snow were too heavy. Even if there was any scenery, it would not even be able to catch a glimpse before it quickly disappeared in the goose feather-like snowflakes. I'm going in now. Wait for me outside. I'll take you away after I save my girlfriend, said Gu Shan. He grabbed the earth sword from the void of space, held it in his hand, and prepared for battle. I have to come with you, the little girl said. Why? Gu Shan was surprised. Because I don't feel good staying here, and if I want to survive, I have to help you survive first. You also want to fight? No. In a bramble bird collection world, other bramble birds can't leak their presence or they'll be found out. Then you can stay outside. You're only 12 years old after all. What do you mean? You're only 6 to 7 years older than me. When it came to age, Lola was annoyed. She hated it when people called her young. Gu Shan said, I'm afraid that you'll. Lola cut him off. Gu Shan, I've seen a lot more things than you who came from a scattered world. I can provide you with some knowledge, but you're still too young. I'm worried. You can't even deal with your own girlfriend and get trapped by her. Where do you get the confidence to think about others? She really couldn't refute that. Gu Shan shrugged, unable to say anything. He suddenly realized something. In the newspaper in the past life, Triest still started the war in the end. The Demon King Order also began to spread throughout a bowl. which means the Bramblebird princess was still caught by Triest. Gu Shan stared at the angry little princess. That's right. She's the key to stopping Triest. I can't leave her here alone. Otherwise, if she's found out, she'll definitely suffer a terrible fate. All right, let's go in together. We're leaving right now. There's no time to waste. Gu Shan put the earth sword back into the void of space. He held the void string in one hand and let Lola hold him with the other. That's more like a gentleman, Lola commented. She held Gu Shan's hand and chanted an incantation. A screen of light flashed. The two of them disappeared from the room. After they left, the crystal ball hovered in the air and silently went back into the 20-layer cake. The cracked cake quickly closed up, the outer layer of cream fusing back together without leaving a single trace. The 20-layer cake was filled with exotic fruits, giving off a faint, creamy fragrance that smelled extremely tempting. Most of the nobles here would definitely restrain themselves, just like the Bramblebirds after entering this room. They would silently follow their noble etiquette and not try to steal this cake. Cold, bone-chilling cold. On the endless frozen wasteland, a few black dots were moving forward. Soucher was shivering, carefully avoiding the large groups of people and walking by herself. At a certain point, she sighed in annoyance, staring at the glowing text on her retina. Congratulations, you've been chosen by heaven to be a pioneer. This is a gift from the Bramblebirds. Please confirm to install the system. Following that, an option popped up. Confirm/reject. Soucher chose reject right away. Another line of text popped up. Please state the reason for your rejection. No reason. Rejecting Kindling's invitation without reason. Your rating will be lowered by 1 rank. Following the last sentence, the glowing text and the options slowly faded away. After everything was out of sight, Soucher angrily asked, "Can't you just block this notification?" Ever since she entered this world, this notification had already popped up a few times. As soon as Soucher said that, another UI appeared on her retina, quickly scrawling lines of text. "I'm sorry, this is World Apocalypse Online. Kindling, I can't block it," the system replied. This was Soucher's system. "This Kindling, will it come looking for me again?" Soucher asked. "If you spend a bit of soul points, I can directly block its notification." "Block it," Soucher answered without hesitation. A wise choice, just as the system warned. This is a demonized order. You definitely can't be tainted by it. Even if I don't become demonized, I don't need 2 systems. If it weren't for the sake of meeting Shan, I wouldn't even need a system. Soucher's voice turned cold. The system replied, "Please consider this issue rationally. Without my existence, there's a high chance that Kindling will deceive you, making it easier for it to take over your body." "All right, whatever," Soucher nonchalantly replied. While they were talking, a thud came from not too far away. Soucher turned around, only to see another person lying on the ground. She couldn't help but want to help him up, but as soon as she took 1 step, she couldn't help but stop. Several figures rushed forward and killed the man on the ground in 2 or 3 moves. A cluster of red light rose up from the corpse and entered their bodies. "Ah, how warm," one of them exclaimed. "That's right, we didn't actually kill him. We just sent him away from this world and back to a bull," another person giggled. The others turned around without changing their expressions and continued forward. They didn't have much time, so if they wanted a good reward, they had to quickly pass through the frozen wasteland and head to the next location. This person wouldn't actually die anyways. At most, he would just leave too early and receive a bit less reward. No one had the time to pay attention to such things. That's right. According to the rules that Triest announced, no one would die here. Killing each other would bring some benefits and rewards. If someone was facing death, they would leave behind the illusion of death where they stood, while the real person would be transported back to a bull. Soucher squinted her beautiful eyes and silently looked at the corpse. This person had helped him in a battle before. Although it was only a small favor, and although Soucher didn't need that kind of help, she still remembered his kindness. In the snowstorm, the corpse was slowly sinking into the ice. Did he really return to a bull? Soucher felt like something wasn't right. Chapter 590. The snowstorm continued to howl. On the frozen wasteland, people were constantly moving forward. This place was too cold, and battles were occasionally breaking out. Everyone wanted to get through this place as quickly as possible. Souchere was at the very back. She stood in front of the corpse and silently observed it. At this point, more than half of the corpse had sunk into the frozen wasteland. As Souchere watched the corpse slowly sinking down, she was silently doubtful. She stepped on the ice. A hard and smooth sensation came from the bottom of her foot. Strange, the ice is so hard. How did the corpse sink in? Souchere waved her hand and summoned the scepter of law. Pointing the scepter at the corpse, Souchere muttered, "Soul points deprivation." The scepter remained still. The corpse also didn't react. Souchere silently sighed in relief. Any living creature would have soul points, but this corpse didn't. If that's the case, this person didn't actually die, but instead returned to a bowl. Souchere calmed down and continued on her way. The snowstorm on the frozen wasteland was getting stronger. She needed to catch up to the main group. That way, the battle would be much easier. As soon as she took a few steps, Souchere hesitated. A strange feeling was lingering in her mind. As the heir of the Blood Sea, she had been carefully nurtured by the Lord of Blood, so she had a unique understanding of life. But something still doesn't feel right. Souchere stopped and walked back to the corpse. In just a few breaths' worth of time, the corpse had almost completely sunk into the frozen wasteland. Seeing this eerie scene, Souchere gritted her teeth. Since I've already done it, I might as well do a thorough check. She raised the scepter and pointed at the corpse. "Servant of flesh and blood, you shall serve the master of the Blood Sea." This was a high-ranked Blood Sea spell, capable of using blood to control the body and enter battle again. However, because the body no longer had a soul, the servant of flesh and blood had lost a lot of its memories, so it could only use a random skill from when it was alive. The scepter lightly vibrated. The spell was completed. The corpse that had sunk into the ice slowly moved. It struggled fiercely in the layer of ice, and soon broke the surrounding ice and snow and drilled out. The corpse slowly stood up, walked to Souchere, and knelt down. From this moment on, it was loyal to her. Attacked from behind, Souchere stared at the corpse and silently issued an order in her heart. The corpse let out a long howl, waved its fist, and blasted a dark flame behind it. The firelight flashed in the wind and snow. As Souchere silently watched this, she felt a chill run down her spine. That's right, this person had come together with everyone, overcame all obstacles along the way, and finally arrived at the ice plains. He didn't know this fire elemental fist technique. According to the rules of the Blood Sea, fake corpses couldn't be controlled. Only the corpses of living beings would be enslaved by the Blood Sea. In other words, this corpse was that person. He died here and did not return to a bowl. But how is he going to explain the matter of soul power? Where did all the soul power he had gathered in his entire life go? Souchere suddenly recalled the red light on the bodies of those people. It's so warm. They laughed and chatted as they headed deeper into the ice plains. Souchere went silent for a while. That can't be right. This person was quite powerful when he was alive. After a series of battles, he was heavily wounded and collapsed on the ice plains, while the people who killed him only obtained a small amount of soul points. A large amount of soul points was gone. Who took the soul points? Souchere silently thought. "Girlie, seems like you've noticed something." A voice came from within the wind and snow. Souchere abruptly turned around, only to see that the people who just left had returned. They were the ones who killed this person. They cooperated well and acted quickly. Before anyone could react, they had already killed an innocent person. Souchere cautiously stared at them, raised her scepter in front of herself, and silently retreated. TSK, TSK, TSK. How cautious. I really must say, you're a smart and beautiful girl. I like you a lot, another voice spoke. They spread out and surrounded Souchere. A bald, bulky man walked forward and faced Souchere. Actually, I'm very curious. With such an excellent person like you, why didn't the system carry you? He asked. Souchere pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Her gaze fell on her retina. Lines of glowing text were hovering there. Attention please, because you've repeatedly refused to carry Kindling World's Apocalypse online. Kindling has recognized you as an enemy. You will be surrounded and attacked by the possessors of Kindling. Furthermore, Kindling is currently targeting you, increasing their invasion, relying on the amount of soul points you have stored. The system will be able to stop Kindling's invasion for a certain amount of time. Remaining time, 19 minutes 57 seconds. This wasn't a very long time. Sushare silently asked, System, what will happen if I run out of soul points? The system can no longer protect you. Kindling will invade the system, and you will become demonized, the system replied. Sushare was stunned. I'll become demonized if I run out of soul points? Is demonization what they're experiencing right now? She asked. No, they're currently in a state of preparation for death. Because World's Apocalypse Online hasn't been activated yet, Kindling has allowed them to live for now to help Kindling search for more energy. Once the Demon King Order awakens, these people's souls will become food for the Order. Why is that? Because Kindling doesn't like them, they don't have the qualifications to become demonized. But please pay attention, they're currently searching for soul points for Kindling, so their combat prowess has been greatly boosted by Kindling. Sushare looked at them. They seemed very excited. In fact, their expressions that were filled with killing intent and lust were actually their true selves. In fact, their actions had already explained one thing. They were originally demons. There was no need for them to become demonized. Sushare sensed the powerful fluctuations of power coming from those people and silently sighed. It's been a very long time since she was in such a dangerous situation. At this point, the bald, bulky man shouted, Everyone go, kill that girl. Be gentle. It's best if we catch her first. Someone couldn't help but shout. You brat, you're getting lustful again. Laughter rang out. While they were talking, they were also observing Sushare's reaction. Sometimes, having the advantage of numbers combined with a certain psychological attack was enough to make some women break down. But they were disappointed. Sushare silently stood there as if she didn't hear anything. Her cold gaze passed through the demonized people one by one. Swinging her scepter, Sushare muttered, Blood sea protection. Waves began to rise from the lake of blood, condensing into bright red strings. The strings of blood flew up and circled around Sushare's body, forming a protective barrier. While the enemies were using their psychological attack, Sushare took the chance to set up a close-range defense for herself. She then continued to chant incantations, trying to activate a series of other spells. The people slowly stopped laughing. They also noticed that this girl was calmly and seriously preparing for battle. Everyone go. She seems to be a spell attacker. Don't give her enough time to prepare. The bald, bulky man loudly shouted. Go. Kill her. Under the bald, bulky man's lead, 7 to 8 people charged at Sushare. Sushare didn't seem to notice them at all, only continuing to chant and prepare herself. Following her chant, faint light began to flow from the scepter into the frozen wasteland beneath Sushare's feet. It wasn't until these demonized people were getting closer that Sushare swung her scepter. Her voice could be heard in the wind. Waves of blood, I summon you. She stabbed the scepter into the ground. Boom! Waves of blood rose all over the place. The people reacted quickly. As soon as the sea of blood appeared, they quickly retreated. They stood on top of a large rock, looking at Sushare, only to see that within a 20-meter radius around Sushare, the frozen wasteland had turned into boiling blood. Sushare silently hovered at the center of the blood, coldly looking at them. We're all combatants from various worlds. We've been through many battles. Young lady, you're too naive to think that you can lure us in. A man with a scar on his head mocked her. Sushare completely ignored him. She held her scepter tightly, chanting towards the boiling blood. Where I am is the boundless sea of blood. All the prerequisites have been successfully set up. This incantation was her ultimate goal. Following Sushare's chant, a giant head floated up from the blood. It was a blood-red giant, but it was very difficult for him to appear. His head was stuck in a 20-meter wide area of blood water. Roar! The blood giant roared in fury. He dived into the blood again, reached out with both hands to grab the sides of the blood, and pulled. The range of the blood quickly expanded. Very quickly, the entire frozen wasteland was turned into a lake of blood. It was now that the blood giant slowly stood up from the vast lake of blood. It was wearing a crimson armor, its gigantic body obscuring the wind and snow in the sky. Its mountainous body stood in the middle of the lake of blood. Crimson mist continuously rose from its body. It looked like a monster from ancient mythology. Astaroth, why did you come here yourself? Sushare asked. The giant stood in front of Sushare, speaking with a resounding voice. Death and madness are coming. Sushare, they are watching you from the void of space. Sushare's heart suddenly sank. Astaroth was one of the main cards of the Blood Sea that had mystical premonitions, so its warning wouldn't be groundless. It must have sensed some sort of omen of danger. Am I going to die? Or become demonized? Sushare's heart began to tighten. She couldn't help but look afar, only to see the 7 to 8 people hiding far away, gathered together and doing something strange. Each of them had their hand on the bald man's shoulder. Hurry up! There's no need to hide anything at a time like this. The bald man stared at the blood giant Astaroth and spoke with a nervous expression. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.